Okay, let me. Oh, there it goes. Sorry, little audio hiccup there. Um. All right, let me just just a little bit, just a little bit. There we go. All right, welcome to episode 690 of the Black Brain Trust. This is the Sapio-Males Guide to the Galaxy. This is Emotional Intelligence Extended. Now, on the prior emotional intelligence live stream we did, let's just say we covered one aspect, and that was the deep dive in and of itself. So we wanted to kind of revisit it to give you the other side of the equation. Um, I'm waiting on my co-host Rael to arrive. Now, when I say co-host, I don't mean like, okay, I'm like the guy and then he's just a dude rolling with me. When I say co-host, meaning like we host this together. So we kind of game plan these, right? So this is my co-host. Um, Hold on, let me shoot him a quick text. All right. And I'm going to do this. Let's pick a random number. Let's do 820. Press if the sound and music is okay. Then I'm also going to put as a formality. Should have typed that first. I should welcome everyone first and then type press 826 if the sound and music is okay. I should have done that, but we kind of did things in reverse. We did get an 826 though. Okay. So even though we did confirm that the sound and the music, everything's okay, I did botch that. I should have welcomed everyone first. All right. And Ryle just texted me, so he'll be up here in just a minute. Now, on the last live stream we did, I kind of did the lead off. I kind of had the idea for it, right? And then there was another side to it. And like I said, we didn't really get to get into the other side. So on this one, we're going to reverse it. So when Rael pulls up, he's going to take the lead on this one and I'm going to follow him, right? Because there's some very interesting passages, some things we want to deep dive into that we did not get to touch on, that I think really should have been a part of that conversation, right? So, and from my understanding, from what he and I were talking about on this one, because what we weren't able to do, I don't want to say from my understanding, but what we weren't able to do was get into the feminine, the masculine and the feminine, right? We didn't get to delve into that part. We delved into essentially what emotional intelligence is. We also but basically correlated it to soft skills, right? Social skills, and then I guess in the manosphere space, right? Quote unquote game, right? Which is a very rudimentary, very pedestrian way of looking at social skills and emotional intelligence. But we're going to kind of split this up a little bit more and go into detail. So let's see here. All right, cool. So Ryle will be pulling up in a few. Let's see who we got in the chat. Let's see what's up. Who we got? Bronze, what up? Peace. JBA. Oh, wait, Bronze, come on, man. When you going live, bro? I don't know if I miss you, going live in the last couple of days. But yo, what's good? We need to get the live streams. You gotta get it litty, bro. JBA, what's going on, man? you you called me out. I got the bad, not good in the background. You know what time it is, bro. Ado, peace, brother. What's going on? AM1, salute, fam. Glad you could pull up, man. The nameless protagonist. What's going on, brother? Peace and welcome. I'm just like I said, I'm just waiting on my co-host. Hope everyone out there is doing well on this Wednesday evening. It's been a long, productive day for your boy, as I hope it was the same for you guys as well. You know, cranking away, man. Business. Let me pull up over onto the other chat real quick. Ryle, where the hell you at, man? So yeah, let's see. You said I'll be zoning to this in the background. I hope everyone's been. Oh yeah. No worries, man. I appreciate you rolling through. There you go. There you go. Yo, Ryle. I think he's getting his sound together. Yo, Ryle, you there? Okay. I think he's getting his equipment squared away, so he'll be right back. So, like I said, not to kind of reiterate a iterated point, but this is an addendum, an extension, a follow-up, a continuation. Wait, there he goes.
Peace, fam.
Yo, you good? How's the sound, man?
Yeah, it's good. It was some funny noise started coming in, so I went out and came back in.
Okay. Is the sound too loud in your ear, or how's everything? People in the chat said it was cool. What about you?
It's cool. The music kind of go down a little bit.
A little bit. All right.
Mhm.
I just say I always gotta kind of make sure because it sounds different to different people.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
want to make sure I don't have to sound like I need to talk louder than I need to be, so people can
Yeah,
hear me
I think
fine.
I think we good right here.
Okay.
We all good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. So, I kind of prefaced it, bro. I did kind of speak on how this is an extension from the last conversation, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
in the initial one, we went into emotional intelligence as what it is, right? Spoke about it from how it's applied in different areas of our lives, right? Soft skills. We even, in a rudimentary form, game, right?
Yeah.
But this is essentially what it is that we're discussing here. We're discussing emotional intelligence. Now, the other part to this that we didn't really get to deep dive in was the binary aspects of it, right? Male and female. And you know, when we was talking earlier, you said this is kind of where we needed to kind of continue the conversation to kind of bring it all together. Correct?
Right.
All right. So what I'm gonna do here is that on the last one, I kind of started off with the quotes and did the deep dive and then this and that. Now I'm gonna fall back. I'm gonna hand it off to you, bro.
Um. There was something that I wanted to continue on, so I'm gonna start with that because I think it's something that's important. Um. I was reading this woman woman's book called Addicted to Perfection, and one of the things that she said that stood out to me was that people make the mistake thinking that masculinity and femininity is a matter of biology. And what she said was that masculinity and femininity is about psyche. And I thought that was a very important distinction.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, if we go back generationally, the women of old, if they saw women wearing pants, for example, they would be mortified because in the older times, women didn't do that because that was a sign of women being, masculine, and that's not just historically in this country, but this is throughout the millennia. This is throughout history of man and woman.
Hmm.
So, and likewise, obviously, when we see a man in a dress, like we don't ascribe that to being something that's masculine. It's
Right.
like we know these things. So those are clear signs. Like, okay, you know that you're dealing with something that's not based on biology. Obviously, it's something else that's there. And so I wanted to go into actually something that's dealing with recognizing an emotionally unintelligent person.
Okay.
Um, because I think it's important. Um, because a lot of times, like we're taught that you should base your value on someone based on what they have instead of like who they are in terms of person,
Right.
like their integrity and things like that. Um, and so I think it's important because especially when when you're in your 20s and you're just getting out here and you're hollering at females. If you're a dude, if you're a woman, you got many men coming at you. Nobody is teaching us like what to look out for in terms of um the kind of balance you need to have like when you're approaching the opposite sex. So a lot of times you're just winging it, but if you can recognize certain things in people that can show you certain elements of who they are that will make you say, I don't think I need to go in that direction. That can be very helpful because it wouldn't matter what they look like. Your emotional intelligence would kick in and say, wait a minute, I know about this. This is not really a good sign of somebody that, based on who I am as a person, I really need to really deal with. And so your intelligence should override your biological attraction.
The imperative or attraction, as they call it, right?
Right. Because what we end up doing is, and I learned this in my human sexuality and society class in college. We automatically ascribe positive feelings to somebody we view as attractive, physically attractive. So it's just a natural thing that we do as humans. But there has to be something that checks that. It has to be a checks and a balance to that biological imperative too, and that's where your emotional intelligence comes in at you know
Right.
to check that, to counterbalance that and say, wait a minute, yeah, the person looks good, but I need to override that because based on what you're seeing from them from an emotional standpoint, they're not going to really be good for you. And we don't we haven't had that. In older times we had wise people to help us through that. We have elders that could say, hey, you bring this person around your family, they spend time with them. Like it used to be where if a man was interested in a woman, her dad would be like, okay, I want to meet him. He might take you hunting and put a rifle in your hand and see where you were, mentally as a man. Say, okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
hold, yeah, if you could hold your own out there, he's that would to her, to a girl, a young lady's father. That's a good sign to the father, like, okay, he can protect you. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
He's not afraid to hold a steel, right? What that tells him, he's not afraid to protect house and home.
Right, right. Because he's
Yeah.
because he's gonna be given after in the marriage, he's gonna be literally giving her away to the man. So he's gonna be expecting the husband to be an extension of what he used to be when the daughter was a girl. Now she's an adult woman. So now she needs something different, but the same concept in terms of what her husband needs to be. Likewise with the women would have women come around and spend time with the women and be in the kitchen with them, cooking and clean, seeing what, just asking certain questions, picking their brain to see, because these were elder women, they were wise women. So they saw everything, they had seen everything in life. So they knew exactly what to ask to see where the woman was. And if she didn't measure up because they had love for their, male relative, they would be like, nah, you don't need to deal with her. She's no good. And so, but obviously that's missing. So now when you go into your late teens and your 20s, now you're ill prepared because everybody's just thinking that, well, as you get older, you just naturally grow and develop and mature. And clearly we know that's not the
That's not
case.
the case, man. That's
It's
so
not the
not the
case.
case, bro. God
It's not the
damn,
case
that's
at
not
all.
the case.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the case. I mean, we see people 50 and 60 years old and they act childish as hell.
And
So
I
we
mean,
know,
you look, we sitting over here in our 40s, like, man, like what?
right? You know what I'm saying? So clearly the emotional, intelligence in these types of people, haven't developed. I mean, clearly if we were at a club in our 20s and we see a dude in his 50s and the club still trying to be cool, we clearly would look at this dude
I
and be
mean,
like,
and
come on,
like
bro.
what, like the true religion jeans and shit,
Yeah, exactly. You
like
know what I'm
with a
saying?
fitted.
Right. But but on the reverse side, if a woman was in a club in her 50s, she should be looked upon in the same way
The
because
same,
clearly she failed.
yeah. Man, we flip that mirror up. It's like, oh hey, what
Right.
you doing up in here?
Right.
Get your
Exactly.
cougar ass.
Right. So, but I want to read this little part just to kind of open it up because I think this is important
All right, let's
in
go.
relating to this emotional intelligence piece. This is dealing with recognizing an emotionally unintelligent person. People who are low in emotional intelligence tend to have low emotional self-awareness. As a result, they often don't even realize that they're out of sync with the people around them. Emotionally unintelligent people have no idea how they come across to others or why they run into various difficulties in living because of their behavior. People with low emotional intelligence tend to lose out on things. Their behavior is often self defeating because of poor impulse control, inadequate social skills, there's that word again, and
Yeah,
low empathy. These people are often their own worst enemy. And that's a key point to recognize in emotional intelligence too, is that word empathy.
yeah.
Um, People who have low emotional intelligence are generally not very happy, aren't in touch with their life goals. We see that in the space with a lot of men,
Oh,
and have poor problem solving skills. These deficits have real life implications. They may have difficulty maintaining relationships with people, holding down jobs, being promoted at work, having satisfying intimate relationships, or dealing with stressful situations. Now, me and you talked about this before.
yeah.
The key to life truly is building relationships, whether it's personal or professional. That is the key to that really truly is the determining factor in terms of whether you will be successful in life or not.
You
Because
can try and
there's
be
going to
an
be,
island all you want, dude.
yeah, you can't, it's impossible. You can't do it. It's just impossible. And so the key for a person is being able to develop those soft skills, to develop that emotional intelligence, so you can have the self-awareness that you need to be able to affect others around you in a way that you need to affect them to get the responses you need, so they can get what they want and you can get what you want too. So, but a lot of times people think that the very things that you have to do to get those things um makes you look weak and needy. Like, for example, like let's say we were going for a job interview,
Hmm.
and historically, like, women come through, get close to a door, we open the door for a woman. Hey, there you go. But what if you go into a job interview and you rush through and you pass the woman and you go through the door and you don't open the door for her?
Right.
Okay, now that for most women that's gonna be like, that ain't really kosher. But let's say when you get to your interview and you come in and they tell you like, oh, well, Miss such and such is, she's a little bit late, just sit down, have a seat. And then when you're finally called into the office to interview, the woman that you didn't open the door for, the person that's
Is the
interviewing you.
person that's interviewing you? She's like, hmm.
Now you've already made a bad impression. Already. You already made a bad impression.
Oh wow.
So now you're gonna have to do a lot of work in that interview
Man,
to
listen, man.
undo that bad impression.
You go, I just, I was really just focused on trying to like nail this interview, and my bad. I recognized that after I walked through, I didn't open the door. Man, listen, man, you're gonna be groveling, bro, on your
You're gonna be groveling.
knees, on
Now,
your knees.
obviously, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So he would be thinking like, I need to make a good impression by trying to make it to this interview on time. Now, clearly, what he should have done was plan accordingly and make sure that he had enough time to get to the actual interview. That's what he was supposed to do, but he didn't do that. But even though he didn't plan properly, let's say he got to the door like, hey, ladies first, I'm on my way to an interview, but ladies first, boom. And then she would have been like, well,
Okay,
wow,
I was about
wow.
to go. I was
So
gonna
wow, like,
say,
okay, so now that constellates in her mind, like, okay, even though he's trying to get to this interview, like he still is maintaining his, gentleman qualities. Now he gets back in the interview. Now she's like, well, you should have, made sure you had enough time. But even then, you still was courteous to me, trying to make it to the interview. That will still send her. That will endear her to him in a much more positive way, to where she can probably look past him being a little late and not just walking over her, and still put him in a favorable position to possibly get the job.
well, let's do this, right? Because anything can happen that could cause you to be late, right? Like, look, you could have even planned for something. I mean, dude, I'm in, LA, right? Traffic and crap, right?
Right,
Accidents, all that. However, situational awareness, that's what stood out in this scenario
right,
that you were just telling me.
right.
Situational awareness, right?
Which is what I was saying. Like the need to have self awareness is a vital component
Right,
in these types of people,
right.
who lack actually um, emotional intelligence. I'm gonna continue. People who have low emotional intelligence. Oh, I read that part. Um, the important point to understand is that intellectually smart people can be emotionally unintelligent. I'm going to read
Oh,
that one more time.
shit. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
The important point to understand is that intellectually smart people can be emotionally unintelligent.
Let's go
Okay.
there. Let's go there.
Okay. Okay. So, um, um,
Yeah.
now you can't always easily recognize that a person is low in emotional intelligence. Some people may seem to have emotional intelligence skills, but in fact, they can simply cover up their deficits, at least superficially.
Uh huh.
People can easily lie about emotional intelligence. A person can tell everyone that he or she is self aware and in tune with others, but saying it doesn't make it true. In general, emotionally unintelligent people get angry or anxious without realizing why or what they're feeling, don't know how they impact others, fail to understand how others feel in various situations, don't effectively manage other people's feelings or behaviors, behave in a self-centered manner, lose control of their emotions, especially when under stress, don't know the connection between emotions, thoughts, and behavior, bring out the worst in others, don't easily meet new people or maintain relationships, overestimate their own skills or abilities, keep getting into trouble because of poor problem solving skills,
Oh, God.
become overly passive or aggressive in communicating with others, wind up aimless or directionless in life, look at the dark side of things much of the time. I'm gonna read that one more time. look at the dark side of things much of the time, don't feel happy in life, don't adapt well to change. I'm gonna read that
Oh
one more
no.
time. Don't adapt
Jesus.
well to change. Find that people avoid them. If a person appears to be emotionally unintelligent, don't assume that he or she is hopeless. With the right kind of coaching or training, almost anyone can gain some benefit in areas of emotional intelligence.
Okay, let me ask you. Would aloof be the word? Because I'm literally looking at the definition of it right now. Right. I was listening to you read. And I'm laughing because I'm like, is it okay? Aloof, not friendly or forthcoming, cool and distant. Right. Synonyms: distant, detached, unresponsive, remote, unapproachable, forbidding, standoffish, formal,
Mhm.
impersonal, stiff, austere, stuffy, withdrawn, reserved.
Hmm.
Doesn't sound like an engaging person, does it?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not even close. And see that, again, like it goes back to the golden rule. When we were younger, we were taught the golden rule, which was do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
That's you. Yep.
And so, one of the things that I found fascinating when I first got, into social media was like how much people really couldn't communicate effectively, like how much people couldn't really, um, read a room,
Mm.
pick up on the nuances of conversations. And so it was just fascinating to me because a lot of the stuff that I was seeing, I was like, man, this is stuff, man, I learned as a kid because I was taught this stuff, just basic kind of, things that allowed you to, intercourse with people on, socially. Um, but a lot of times people are coming to conversations in bad faith that they're already, you got to think about this, like even in our group, like, there's a lot of people, especially on the female side, who just view, ourselves as just low. And so if you're approaching the conversations with that mentality, because my mentality is always when I approach a conversation, I'm going to give a person a chance to say what it is. Like I'm not just
Yeah.
going to assume that they're just going to, I'm going to like, okay, I'm gonna listen. And then once I engage, if depending on the setting, um, we engage in however, that interaction proceeds. Because, truth of the matter is like, when you're in certain settings, even though you might not want to get on the nigga shit, you might have to get to the nigga shit to
You
get through.
just might have to do
You
it,
just might
bro.
have to, not
You
because you
just
want
might
to,
have to.
because that is the demographic that you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, there's too many people in our group who communicate on a nigga shit level. And it's like pulling them out of a swamp, trying to get them to get to the basic human decency level of communication to really be able to hear. It's like a lot of times people just hear what they want to hear because they already have these preconceived notions that they don't want to let go. And anything that taps into the cognitive dissonance, and especially if they're a narcissistic type person. So if you mix those two, now you
Yeah.
got somebody that's reacting
Yeah. Just
explosively.
feed it into
Right,
my ego. God damn it.
right. So now you can't even have the real conversation because the person, you're having a conversation with the person about through their emotional lens, not their logical lens. So now you got to go through all this rough, tussle just to be able to get to a basic level of a conversation because they're not hearing what you're saying.
Well,
They're not listening. They're feeling what you're saying. And if what you're saying doesn't make them feel good, that's the lens that they're going to respond with, not
okay,
the actual what you're actually saying.
two things. So that goes back to our last conversation on emotional intelligence about people processing their emotions through logic versus the other way around, right?
Right.
Okay. And then that also speaks to what we oftentimes hear when you'll hear people say, well, I agree with what you're saying. It's just the way you said it.
Right. It's funny that you say that is because um I remember when I had came across this chick from high school that I was interested in high school. And I never forget this because we were sitting there talking. This was probably like 2009, 2010. And in high school, I was interested in her. And I remember she had invited me over to her family's house. She had father and mother was there, invited me for Thanksgiving, so I played all that type of stuff. And
Hmm.
she came off like she was, that woman that was going to be willing, be demure and deferring to me and stuff like that. But something didn't feel right. I just didn't. I was
Something, something,
like, you know what
something,
I'm
something just ain't
saying?
right.
Right. You know what I'm
So
saying? So
key sweat joint.
now I stopped dealing with her, but it was funny because one of the shorties in our grade, like she took offense, like a shorty was really into me. But I just picked up on her vibe, and I was just like, because I'm a Scorpio, so like my vibe is very important. Like if I don't get the vibe, I go on my instinct. And my instincts was just telling me like, nah, she ain't really for you. So years later, we run into each other and we got to talk. We exchanged numbers and we started talking. And I'll never forget we were talking and we were just having a very chill conversation. And I just laid down some stuff. And I remember what she said. Like she was like Ron, it's not what you're saying that's the problem. It's the way you say it. She's like, I don't disagree with anything you just said. I don't disagree at all.
Can
She
you
was like,
just
but
say
it's
it to
just
me
the
in Spanish?
right. She was like, but it's just the way you say it. And I said, you know what's so interesting? I said our group loves to talk about how much we love Malcolm. I said, wasn't Malcolm one of the best speakers we've ever had?
He was one of the greatest orators of the
Of,
modern times.
I mean, just no college training, no high
None.
school.
No, no,
I
no,
mean,
no,
he
no
made
debate team shit.
he made college look like Dr. Seuss books. Like that's what
Bro,
he
look up
made
all the
college look
old
like.
videos. He just dismantle, you know, these
Right.
these these
That
sociologists and whoever the
yes.
hell. He just
I mean, he
pick them
sat
apart.
beside people with bachelor's, master's,
PhDs and
PhDs,
yeah,
and
pick
just
them apart.
absolutely dismantled them.
Yeah.
And I said, even back then, I'm like, they had this thing where they were saying, make it plain, say it plain. Like that's what he was. I was like, but it's funny. I was like, we celebrate somebody like him and say how strong he is. I said, but your training is to when you hear a black man speak in a way that is um uncompromising, not pliable, not malleable, not docile, you naturally have a response to be offended by it. I say, even though when it comes to something like Black History Month, we want to celebrate Malcolm. I'm like, he was all those things. Like he was not, he was uncompromising when it came to his principles. I was like,
What's
but
the
for some reason,
iconic
you getting
photo
offended
of
by that.
him looking out the window holding a strap?
Come on,
All
you know.
right.
But see, what I was trying to get her to see in the conversation was, I said, black people loved Malcolm when he was talking about whitey. I said, but black people did not like Malcolm when he was talking about black people.
When he was talking about Blackie.
I was like, it was a whole different conversation then.
Right.
He thought he was uppity. He thought he was all that old light skinned and all this other type of stuff. I said, see, everybody loved him when he stood up to the man. I said, but when he stood up to the undesirables in the group, because everybody talked about how disciplined Malcolm was.
Hmm.
They didn't like
They
the
didn't like
discipline
that.
that he was
That
putting
was
forth
part
on.
of the problem.
Yes, he was putting too much discipline on many of the men who came from the streets that he came from, but many of them went into the nation trying to hide under the nation. He went in there trying to advance what the nation was about because he truly believed in it. He
Yeah,
believed in the nation more
you
than
gotta weed
Elijah did.
cats out.
Right, right.
And the
And so,
problem was that he was so staunch on it that hey, dude, leadership started getting exposed. But hey, I don't want to go too deep into that. But hey,
yeah. Um, and so, um, you know, it's one of those things where like I said, relationship building is the key to your success in life. There's just no, it's through the social that your identity is helped to be formed. It's through that social interaction. Your responses to the environment. And there are only but two ways that you can go. It doesn't mean that you go around being cordial and amicable to people, doesn't mean you go around kissing people behind. But it just really means that when it comes to this emotional intelligence thing, when you're in certain situations, you have to always be thinking about how can I get the best outcome of this particular interaction.
I
So if
mean,
you go so
you go into a situation, or actually, I'm gonna finish and then let me hear what you're gonna say. I don't want to jump the gun.
you basically go into situations trying to get the best outcome that you get. Like for example,
Right.
like if you go to a store and they have a policy like, well, we're not really supposed to take things after 30 days, especially, without a receipt or whatever. Um, and you're like, man, but such and such, such, such. If you have a good rapport with these people, or even if you don't, like if you could talk to them in certain ways, you can get a different
You can
response.
get
You
it.
can elicit a
Yep.
different response from these people, even if you're past that time, because you know how to manage their emotions. Like you can really use your emotions, and it's not being fake. It's you're giving them what they want, and they're giving you what you want, because basically they want their humanity to be um edified, and you want yours to be as well. Like that's what you both want. It's a kind of symbiotic relationship, but you have to really know you, and so a lot of people really um don't know themselves in that particular capacity, because in their world, a lot of the world they grew up in, a lot of it was just, a lot of times they had a mom that just, you know you know barrage people with
Well, yeah.
emotions.
I want to speak to the manager. Type shit.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, cussing the managers out all the
Y- y-
time, thinking that's gonna
Versus
get the
versus
best
the
response.
right versus like the art of finding common ground, because I think what you're speaking to is the ability to find common ground, right? You
Right,
find common ground, then that means that reciprocity has been achieved, right? Everybody's happy.
right.
And I think that once again, having that emotional intelligence, having that disposition to be able to go in, assess the environment. Listen, you might be somebody who's more even keeled and patient, and the person you're dealing with is a little bit more hot tempered, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be the reverse, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this person is really not like getting what you're saying to them, and you're like, okay, in your head, this is very simple. Okay, you know what I mean? So at that point, it's like you have to calm your ass down and be like, all right, let me try to reach them where they're at, right? Speak real
Mm-hmm.
slow, don't use so many big words. That
Right,
kind of stuff,
right,
right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's what you wanted. Yeah, 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 that's all it was, ma'am. Or sir.
right, right.
You know what I mean? Sometimes, like we were saying, sometimes it's like that, almost thinking for people, almost, right? I don't want to quite call it that, but like you said, if you go into you almost have to. It's almost as if you're mind controlling people, almost.
Right, right. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I dare not want to say that fully, but let's examine it, because you're examining everything around you, and you're saying, okay, I don't feel any hostilities around. No one seems to be upset. I'm going to come in here and say, hey, look, I want to do this exchange. It's like 5-10 days out of warranty, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? There's not a long line. Everybody's chill. Cool. Versus you go in there, same scenario. However, people are frustrated, long lines, all this. You're like, all right, look, let me try to approach this in a way where I just want to get the quickest outcome possible. Right? I don't want to
Right.
waste anybody's time. I don't want to hold up anybody behind me. This is that social awareness, right? Emotional intelligence, understanding, right? You ever been in line and you kind of get miffed because the people in front of you are just lollygagging and bullshitting and just taking up time that you have precious minutes in your life, and you're like, I would rather be using those minutes to do something else than standing here while you bullshit, right? We've all had those instances, right? And we're mindful of this, and we've been in that scenario. That's why what we're trying to do is just say, look, I want the quickest outcome possible. Let me go about this the most intelligent way possible.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right? Instead of doing the bitching and the moaning and you know the blondie white chick chopped hair Karen, you know, let me speak to your manager instead of all that crap.
Right.
Right? It's sort of like go in saying, I already know what your manager is gonna say, so why don't we just do this?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Oh wait, hold on. We got another goddamn bot. I'm sick of these things, man.
We ain't gonna let them. We ain't gonna
Yeah.
let them keep us
Yeah.
from doing this good work.
But my bad, dude. Go ahead, dude. Continue.
um. Yeah. You like me. Like I've said this numerous times. Like there. No matter what I had been going through in life, even when I was a kid, I never woke up and just thought that, yo, I can't do this. I just never had that type of mentality to just think like, it's just the end of the world. Like to me, life's challenges really present opportunities if you know how to look at things properly. And I think a lot of times people, I have the saying like, in your struggle, if you can look at it and view it with the proper perspective, that's where your success lies. That's where your wealth lies, in that, if you can see it with the proper perspective. And so us being in business, like obviously being in business, like you have to have a high sense of optimism. Like you are taking
Oh my
a
god.
a real chance. Like the greatest investment you can make is in self. That's the greatest
Oh my
investment you can
god,
make.
dude. Like you literally have to have like a almost like a what do you call it? Like where people go like, dude, what is wrong with you? Are you crazy? It's like that kind of belief in
But
yourself.
that belief, yes,
Yeah.
like you have to
I'm
have,
trying
like
to
you have
remember
to have
like
that
what
belief,
that
yes.
term, like what we call that, but that's it.
Like audacity, you have
Yeah,
to have
yeah,
that,
yeah. You know, like who are you? What were you
right?
saying the last live stream? Who are you? You think you run the world?
Right. You have to have that. And so um that's that self-esteem, man. Like you really have to, because I always say like self-esteem is not what you have to have um when things are going to your favor. Like it's easy to think all the positive things in the world when things are going to your favor. I mean, everything is good.
Oh my
But
god! Think whenever you're
self-esteem is
going to
what you really
shit,
need. Right, but self-esteem is what you really need, like when you're feeling at your lowest and you still feel that you're the greatest.
that's how
That's when
you
you really
know
need it.
that's when you know how a dude is really built, right?
Right, right,
Like when you on top, you just the king, right? But let you hit a rough patch,
right,
nigga, you fold at the first bump.
right, right. Look at the movie Black Panther. This is a prime example of it. Look at T'Challa. T'Challa is a perfect example of this. He had everything.
Yeah, when he had to
He
run.
had it all.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And part of his growth was being convinced to open up Wakanda to the world. But in doing that, he let a enemy in too.
bro.
He let an enemy in too.
Yeah, he
And
showed so
so
good.
that challenged his position and ultimately took it. What if he'd have just folded though? But he had to that was in order for him to truly be the king and understand what his dad really went through as a king, he had to go through somebody challenging his kingship. And that was the
Yeah,
ultimate challenge because he
yeah, and
wasn't,
no,
come
go
on
ahead.
now. No,
No, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
bro. No, go ahead.
He had to really step up to the plate on that because again, it was all good when he had all control and the technology was good and they was closed off from the world.
Yeah,
And
let
so
somebody pull up and test you on that.
now he
Let
got
somebody pull
tested,
up and try to claim it. Right now,
you
we're
know.
gonna we're gonna see what you really built. We're gonna see how you
Right,
really built.
right.
Yep.
So now is the test. Are you what you really claim you are? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you was basically you were given the kingship. You didn't have to fight for it. Now you got to fight for your birthright now.
Yeah.
Now, are you really ready to take on that particular challenge? And so, um, he obviously he rose to that challenge, um, and he had to really step up. And that truly made him king because he could have easily folded. And I want to read something else that's actually dealing with this as well.
I was just gonna make one quick point. Right. I guess what we're looking at here, right? The person that has everything to lose versus the person that has everything to gain. Right.
Right, right, right. Um, this is dealing with addressing problems with optimism. Um, emotionally intelligent people are optimistic people. Optimism involves a strategic approach to challenging situations. It includes acknowledging challenges while at the same time believing that a solution exists. Optimism also involves actively working toward the possible successful outcome. These are just
Mm.
some tips to help you become more optimistic. Recognize and acknowledge when you're in a difficult situation. Recognize and acknowledge your top skills in dealing with difficult situations. Know where you can get help with any skills you lack. So we already know in business, like one of the key things that you have to be able to do is delegate. Like you have to be able to go find people that could do something better than you can
Tell me
and
about
bring
it.
them in, because the time that it take you to learn that skill, you could miss out on money instead of just actually working with somebody
Just
else and delegating.
get a person that knows how to do it, man.
Come on. And so you incorporate them, they get broken up a little piece. They happy, you accomplish what you need, man, y'all both good. Actively address problems when they arise. Remember similar situations in which you've overcome problems. Keep your focus on applying solutions going forward and don't get stuck in the past. I'm gonna say that one more time.
oh, oh no. Oh shit. Oh
keep
shit. Okay.
keep your focus on applying solutions going forward. Keep your
Oh,
focus on applying solutions going
oh.
forward and don't get stuck in the past.
Look, man, we don't need to elaborate further on that, do we?
Come on. Um,
oh,
it's reframe negative circumstances as challenges to overcome. Again, reframe negative circumstances as challenges to
to
overcome.
overcome.
So basically, don't keep
Oh,
bogging yourself down by
speak
saying the
on
world is
that
falling,
one.
the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is
Yo,
falling. You reframe it.
doomsday, doomsday, doomsday.
Right, right,
What
um,
if, what if, what if, what if, what if?
right. When you build and practice your skills in optimism, you can more effectively deal with and overcome adversity. Optimistic skills are directly related to happiness. Um,
Wait a
A
minute. Wait, say that last part.
Optimistic skills are directly related to happiness.
Think about. Oh, what would you? Oh, imagine that optimism and happiness.
Yep.
Hmm. Okay. I'm sorry.
Um, a study was done by the University of Pittsburgh, and it followed more than 100,000 women aged 50 and over for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
The study ran through the Women's Health Initiative found that women who were highly optimistic had a lower risk for early death, cancer, and heart disease than women who weren't very optimistic.
Oh shit.
These results held true
Oh.
even after the study factored in other risk factors such as smoking and lack of exercise.
Wait a minute. So you mean even with smoking and lack of exercise? Wow. All right. I
That's
mean,
how that's how powerful thought is and emotions
yeah,
are.
dude. It's like, dude, we don't understand like literally, dude, like how our psychological disposition literally sets the tone.
Yes, yes.
It literally sets the fucking tone. This is why, for y'all listening, all 14 of you, I think, based on what I can see there, this is why Rael and I do this, right? Because you can listen to everybody else on all the other channels, right? And they're going to give you their analysis on social ills relating to our, our positions as male and females, right? However, what underlies all that, dude, is psychological dispositioning. And this is the nugget that has to be cracked. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're talking about this, because everything starts in the fucking mind. Before anything else, before anything happens in third dimensional reality, in this third dimensional realm where matter coalesces in the form of atoms and it takes the shape of a table or a mouse or a cell phone or a remote or a keyboard or whatever. I'm just looking at shit, right? It starts in a non-material space. And this is why we're digging into the psychology, because the things that end up happening, the actions that happen in this material space, that then has everyone looking looking at it, basically looking at things in a confused state, trying to examine it. But the reality is that it's nothing material, it's nothing physical, it's not one's physical dimensions, where height, size, skin color, colorism, featureism, blah 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 blah, hypergamy, and whatever. Get all that bullshit out of here. We got to start with how the fuck people are thinking. It literally starts with thought.
Yep, yep.
You got it, dude. I'm my little rant's done.
Um, um, okay, this is what I wanted to go to. Mm, this is dealing with knowing your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
Um, Emotionally intelligent people are self-aware. They know themselves well. They can read their own emotions and know how to manage them. They're also good at knowing their own strengths and weaknesses. An important emotional skill that happy people possess is self-regard. That's self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Having a high regard for oneself. And it's key that it's called self-esteem, which means it's not the responsibility of other people.
Right.
It's your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Um, by knowing your strengths and weaknesses and accepting yourself for who you are, you can deal with challenging issues that you encounter. Building your confidence based on a realistic appraisal of your skills gives you the inner strength to approach situations that you encounter. This is a particular activity that you can do to see how well you know yourself. When you want to get a general idea of how emotionally connect to someone, start by asking some questions. In your notebook, write each question in the following list, then write your responses below each question. What are your 5 greatest strengths? What do you consider your greatest or signature strengths? How have your signature strengths help you deal with adversity? How can you use your signature strength in different or new situations? What are
Mm.
your weaknesses? What one thing do you want to change about yourself? How would you go about making that change? Acknowledging your strengths and weaknesses and building on them helps build your confidence. Building your confidence makes you feel better about yourself and gives you a more positive attitude. Your positive attitude improves your ability to stay focused and solve problems. Be sure to honestly and critically evaluate your skills so that you don't artificially inflate your self esteem. By being critically honest about your strengths and limitations, you build true confidence in yourself.
Yeah, I wholesale agree with that. I would say that at this stage, of like what it is that I do in business and stuff, like, dude, there's stuff I defer to my partner Antigraph, right? I defer to him, and he's younger than me, like literally, like shit. I think we damn near have a 20-year age difference, dude. Like for those of y'all that don't know, like my business partner is like
Wow.
he's in his mid 20s. Okay, I'm in my mid 40s, right? And I can readily admit that there's strengths that he has that I don't, right? And what actually makes what we do work is that I recognize that. And so what I'll do is defer to him. I'll have partners say, call him, right? When it comes to that, dude, call him,
Right.
right? Because he does the same thing with me. Like there's certain things that I do. There's the things that I do, that's not what he does,
Mhm.
right? But I'm not gonna sit up here because oh, I'm older and I have quote unquote more experience and all this and all that, right?
Mhm.
Take on things where I know he's stronger at. So dude, that stuff I defer to him. I tell, hey, yeah, call him, text him, call him, and run that through him, right? Like throw it through him. I'm not the guy.
Mhm.
So I have that self awareness to know where I need to go ahead and take something, right? Go ahead and take the lead on something, handle that, or it's something where it's like, hey, yo, hey, someone so and so's gonna give you a call. It's about this. I don't know. You talk to him about it.
In business, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree with this. There's nothing that can take the place of being able to have somebody in business that you can absolutely trust 100%.
Yep, yep.
I
Let me tell you
mean,
something, man. It's um, I got to tell you, um, he and I have been at this going on 5 years,
mm,
right? We've been at this. And for those of y'all listening, it's possible to like link up with Couch in the Manosphere and do some productive shit. That's
yep,
how he and I linked up. Okay. And this was back in 2017.
yep,
Okay. So 5 years on. Okay.
yeah.
It's possible. It's possible. Look, I'm, you think Ryle and I only do this? You think Lonzo is just kind of just floating around, just here and saying, hey, what's up, everybody? No.
Things are getting done. Things are getting done by men that have vision, and that's what vision is all about for men, especially men. Um, to be able to see something in the mind, because that's where it has to be first. Nobody else can see, and to bring that in the physical form, it's the greatest power really in man. It's being a creator. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, out of nothingness, something came, some form. So, and the thing is that, you know, because humans tend to operate in a herd type of mentality, many people around you, especially in Black America, they're going to speak to you with fear. For example, if you tell the average Black person, hey man, I just got a job. Let's say you got a job at Amazon. Man, they're gonna be happy for you. Man, great job, man. You got a job at Amazon. Um, if you tell them, man, I just started a business. I got a wing stand over here. It's going to
Bruh.
be so much negativity
Oh
coming
my
from those people. Well, you
god.
do now. These are type of people who don't read anything about business. They heard somebody, they heard a rapper on a podcast talk about it, and they kind of uh, 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 um, you know, held on to to that aspect. They might have heard a rapper say it, and will say something like, "Well, you know, most business fail in the first 3 to 5 years." Blah 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 blah. Like they'll miss everything else that the rapper talked about on the positive side of the business stuff,
Yeah.
and they'll just hold on to that. And it just goes to show you that, you know, most people do live in fear, you know, and um, but that's why business people are so successful, because they go against the grain, the natural tendency of the herd to be to live in fear, and they have that vision and say, hey, you know what, man, I see some gold over there, man, and I want to go get that. And so it truly is, you know, you basically are going to have to filter out naysayers, because, and the naysayers are very important too, because the naysayers are basically people on your journey that test and see if you do really want that vision,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're going to put
Yeah.
thoughts in your mind that if you believe it, then their voice, which is really a projection of how they feel about themselves, is going to become your voice. And it's not, it's going to be your inner voice, your inner critic of yourself. And then you're going to basically beat yourself down emotionally and say, you know what, I can't do it, because you believed what that person said about
Well,
you.
that's kind of what we have to kind of fight against, right? Um,
Right,
in this
right,
social media space,
right.
dare I say this Black manosphere space,
Yeah, I would say in this space for sure.
right?
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you like this. Why do you think we put the 3.0 stamp on manosphere? Because we're unequivocal about pushing the narrative, right? We're not built for that self doubt, right?
Right.
If more than anything, it's it's an evolution into a camaraderie of brothers where we can get on the horn, whether it's behind the scenes, like on the phone, whether it's on the live streams, building like we're doing now, and it's an iron sharpen iron type of situation
Mm-hmm. Right.
versus I'm talking you out of some shit. I'm convincing you why you can't do something, right? I'm
Right.
projecting my deficiencies onto you. You might have a brilliant idea, but I come through and just be like, just piss on the shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not the move.
Right. Right.
That really ain't the move.
Not even close. Because that really goes against what men generally really are to our core. The thing that you will see from men who are, you know, about being productive and being their true self as a man with a capital letter S, is the passing down of the knowledge. You know, that's one of the greatest joys you get in this lane. Is this is why so many people start nonprofits, because they've been given so much. It's just they just want to help, like they just want to give stuff, they want to give some of that money away to help other people because of what their success has done for them. They want other people to share in that. And so um
Well,
you
don't
know,
wait. Didn't secret societies even do this?
yes, I mean you're talking about something that's kind of in the, you're talking about something that's kind of in the frame of mind of rites of passage type
Yeah,
thing, when
that's
you
why I was like,
initiate.
dude, I think
Right.
this is like a, like, yo, it's like if secret society's even doing it, if they're even doing it right, there must be something to this.
Right, right. So, and for a lot of people that like to talk about, well, stuff in the media and it's negative and stuff like that, we could take away all media right now, and there's still going to be a lot of people out here with people in their family who's going to be very negative against you. Like they're going to be people that you're related to by blood, connected to through family. That will
Shh,
be your biggest
bro.
nemesis out here.
Don't you get me started.
Come on. So but they're a part of the journey though. They're supposed to be there. They're just
Hmm.
they're just they're just speed bumps along the way. They're because it's only their word. Because at the end of the day, like if you're pursuing a business, and they be negative, then all you got to do is just ask them a question like, well, you got some money on it? Well, no, I ain't got no money. Well, don't say nothing
Don't
then.
say shit.
It's that simple.
I
Like if
can
you ain't got no
understand
money to put on it,
if you had some ends in me casa, right?
right. You
Then
know what I'm
then
saying?
you then you got something to say, but like you literally didn't put nothing in on this.
Right.
All right, well, what
So
are we talking about here?
there's nothing to talk about because a lot of times what it really is that person is really jealous and envious of you because now
Uh-oh.
you force their hand to look you force them to have to look at themselves and what they're not doing. So now they have to, like, greatness tends to make other people have to reflect on themselves and ask themselves why I'm not great. Like that's what it does.
Damn.
That's what it does. So now they have, even Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living. Well, what do a lot of people do out here? A lot of people live through other people. They live
They live through
vicarious
other people,
through other
yeah.
people. So by definition, if you're living through other people, if that's the route that you take, you have to self-reflect and see what you're not doing. But living through the other people for a lot of people is enough of a drug. This is why celebrity culture is so popular, because it allows lazy people to live through other people's
What?
success and don't
Okay,
have to do
okay. Whoa,
anything.
whoa, 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 dude. Okay, you just hit on it. Okay, so wait. So number one, this is the reason why everybody is always referencing what celebrities are doing in
Right,
terms of like their relationships and stuff like that because of what you just said, right? They're too
right,
lazy to cultivate their own.
right,
So what they do is they defer to what is right readily out here for us to view and say, yes, that's the perfect one, i.e. Beyonce and Jay-Z and shit, or Jay-Z and
right,
Beyonce. Yeah, whatever, whichever one. Jay-Zance or whatever, if you want to put it together. But no, that's the thing. People always want to reference a goddamn celebrity relationship. They ain't no parts of no celebrity themselves.
never gonna be either.
Never gonna be either, right? You average at best. Shout out to Seven Granules, right? Average
Mhm.
at best. Okay, that's what your ass is gonna be. And even for brothers like ourselves who basically do like, look, listen, man, we're high achievers. I ain't trying to be no celebrity though,
Right,
right? See, so
right,
we still on some high achieving, high earning, but I ain't on some celebrity status,
right,
right? So everybody's got there's a lane, right? But the reality is though is that not everybody is living the celebrity lifestyle. So it would behoove us to stop using celebrities as the model for shit. Stop using rappers and musicians and entertainers and athletes, and can we get real? Can we get back to that time when we was a little more real? I remember what that was like, dude. Like the last vestiges of that was like in the 90s,
right.
right? 2000s came, everything went on fleek. I don't know. But I remember what it was like. And I'm just saying that in this current time, we can have that and technology. We can have both. It requires a little bit of what? Emotional intelligence.
Right.
We need to really understand, parse out what we're dealing with here, right? It's like I said, man. Like so much of like you just said, man. Like the people are living through the lens of others, as opposed to not really living through like the two eyes and the one in the middle of their forehead, right? They're not seeing life through those eyes. They're seeing it through the eyes of others vis-a-vis a digital interface, right? Head in the phone, you're looking at somebody else and then you're seeing yourself living their life. And then it comes back to you like, well, why doesn't my life reflect that you're not them? Hello? You're not
Mm-hmm.
them. Let me ask you, bro. I know Truth that asked for the link. We've been in, I wanted to, because I wanted to kind of go on your side of the conversation, right? Because there's a lot to emotional intelligence, right, to cover in one live stream. So this is where we're going on the extended, and now we're
Mm-hmm.
flipping it. We're reading some passages. Do you have more? I'm following your lead on this one. How you want to roll
Yeah,
with this one?
I got. If I can read this next one, and then if you wanted to bring him up, you can do that. However you
Okay,
want to do it.
go ahead, do this. I'm gonna step just to the restroom real quick. Get my little shorty ready for bed. Go ahead and handle the dude. Give me like 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, you can go, bro. Like if you want to read, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna handle something real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. No, I'll wait till you come back. I'll wait till you come
Okay.
back. Go ahead. Go ahead and
All
read
right.
this. Yeah, for the audience, there's a template, out here, society that tries to get you to be at war, um, with the opposite, obviously opposite gender and stuff like that. But um, it'll really be a, a sad and pitiful life to not be able to experience the other side in the way that we were designed to experience the other side. So, um, and there's a lot of money in people keeping men and women frustrated, and this emotion uh, thing. I always say that emotions are currency. Um, based on that emotional state that you have is going to dictate the kind of move that you make in your life. So obviously, you want to be operating at the highest level of emotional intelligence that you can, so you can make the best decisions for yourself moving forward. Um, there are things that I could look back 20 years ago and still question and be like, yo, why did I make that move? Why did I make another move instead of that move? Because that's what you should be doing. It's not about, looking at your life with regret. It's about examining your life to see what motivated you or what drove you to make certain decisions so you can make better ones. And that's really what it's all about, like to grow and elevate. And so many people, especially in our group, emotional stability has been stunted because so many people have been stunted so much in childhood that this is why you have so many adults walking around in a state of arrested development because they haven't fully crossed over emotionally into the adult world, which is why we see a lot of people looking like they're having tantrums out here. Because that's what children tend to do when they don't get their way. They tend to have tantrums because they haven't been taught how to manage their emotions, which is usually supposed to be done by your mother. That's what mothering is all about: is helping children master you know um, those emotions. And not to say that anger is a negative emotion, because it's not. There is a such thing as constructive anger,
Yeah.
because you can feel anger. There's nothing wrong with feeling anger. It's what you do with anger is the issue, because anger allows you to it's like a homing device almost. It allows you to hone in on something that could be a deficit for you, so you can understand. Um, you can use anger to defend something in a righteous way. There's such thing as righteous anger, but it has to be righteous anger. It has to be
I was
constructive
going to
anger.
say, didn't well, we don't have to go there, but all I know is that for the forces of good have also gotten it in. Let's just say
Right,
that.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly. You know, so it's about not being ruled by your anger. That's where you want to
Yeah,
be at.
it's
But
applying it.
sometimes that anger needs to be there to help you understand. Like, wait a minute, somebody they getting over on me. Like, wait a minute, like, and you have to sometimes you blow up the spot. Let people know, like, you're
Hey,
not
gotta correct the situation real quick.
right. And so, but a lot of times in our group, especially when it comes to men, and you see this, even psychologists talk about this as it relates to black men, that the notion of the angry black man is a myth, because black men in this particular society are not allowed to feel or express their anger without people getting offended by it, including the women in the group. So you can see many women in these spaces that will try to shame men and say, like, y'all always angry, y'all always angry. But if you notice, you've never seen these women say anything like that towards men in other groups when they're angry. You never see them
Well,
say that.
because you know what? Here's the thing, dude, and this is what's interesting. This is what I always kind of notice, right? Um, they kind of intrinsically understand that their anger is tied, or let's just say that the underlying emotion behind anger, right,
Mm-hmm.
drives them to dominate.
Right.
As soon as we do it, it's toxic.
It's
It's
toxic.
all it's all kind of it's every bit of a bad expression of black masculinity, right? That's
Right.
why we dared to speak about megalomania, because we were like, well, why don't we just go ahead and jump the shark, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then why don't we just go full megalomaniac with it?
Right. Right. It's funny. I had this one chick I had met years ago from Texas, and it was so funny, man. She wanted to marry me too, and she was like, one day we were talking, man, and she was like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. She was like, the very things that make me love you is the very things that make me hate you.
Man, I dude, don't. I was hoping you wasn't gonna say that shit.
And it was so funny. It was, man, it was so hilarious. Because I had already knew. It was
Like,
funny because me
make
and my
it
home
make sense, bro. Make it
hold on,
make
me and my
sense, dude.
homie was talking. I was talking about her, and I had said to him, I was like, it's funny. I was like, because I said I could tell by her responses that the things that she like about me is the very things that upset her. And it
That is
was
so
funny that
weird.
she actually came out and actually said it. I went back to my boss, I was like, I told you. He was like, what? I was like, man, remember when I was telling you what I was saying about it? He was like, man, she said it. I was like, dude, I told you.
Yeah, dude, he literally said it.
She
But
she verbalized it, man,
what?
and it
Make it make sense though. What does that
because
mean?
I had told I was like, I said, and this is before I even got on, psychological stuff. It was just me just knowing me. And I was
Yeah.
like, you're so used to being with dudes that you have to tell to be on their game, to tell them that they had to
Uh,
be this and they have to do this and this and that before. I said, but now you're with a man that you actually have to get on board with and follow. So
interesting.
so
Interesting.
now the dynamics, see,
The
because
dynamic.
it's the dynamics change for her. in that instant, because a lot of times it's like really what his, people have said, like it's cliche but it's real. Yo, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it.
Just might get that shit.
So
Yep.
now, but her programming is, I got to build a black man into what I think he should be, instead of saying I need to get on code with a man who is already thinking in the way he needs to be thinking. See, that's a whole different paradigm. That's a
I
that's
mean,
a completely different paradigm.
if you're kind of predisposed to think that you need to build something, and I think this might actually be the other issue, right? If you're predisposed to think that what you have to do is quote unquote build a boo, as they call it,
Hmm.
right? Dude, you've never been in any sort of mindset or any sort of psychological orientation to follow the lead of a man. Never. Think about it,
Yes.
right? Think about that, because if you're accustomed to having to do one thing, that means that you've never literally been put in a psychological framework, right? To actually consider the other option, the other alternative,
Right.
right? So
Right.
so since that's not even present, the only thing you know is to default to this other one. And then when you encounter the other guy, where dealing with this guy doesn't literally does not require you to do any of the other crap that you did with the other dude. What do
Right.
you then do based on your programming, I guess you can call it?
Well, um, me and you talked about, we've talked about, on here and even behind the scenes about the the power of what the fairy tales represent. And in the fairy tales, that woman doesn't fully become constellated the way she needs to until that right man comes on the scene,
Hmm.
because she's stuck in the consciousness, the unconscious world of the women that groomed her, and the women in her the unconscious collectivity in that world is of a, if that world is niggas ain't shit, then if your Prince Charming comes and he's a black man that constellates you the way you're supposed to, now you faced with a conundrum, because now you either have to stay with these old biddies who if you look at their lives, they're miserable, lonely, not married, all 60 years old, still talking about men ain't shit, or you take a chance and invest in yourself and you go with the prince, which is what you're supposed to do as the woman. But the problem in terms of what we've experienced in our group is that women who choose to make that decision, they're made to feel like they're turning their back on that collective consciousness that is based on you following this particular script. And if you don't follow this script, you're the worst type of woman, because you're supposed to be about what we represent, which really is failure and loss, but it's passed off as independence and I don't need, which is not even biologically possible.
It's that
There's no such thing as man and woman not needing each other. There's no such thing.
you can't
There's no such thing.
find that, you dude, you legit. This is what like literally like fucks my head up, because there's literally, even in some of your even in some of your most extreme like examples of nature, let's just say like hyenas, bonobo culture, black widow spiders and shit like that, right? Where, okay, even though in those scenarios the female is sort of like the, I guess, matriarch of that, the
Mhm.
male is still needed, and the
Still
female
need it.
understands that,
Hmm.
right? It's kind of like, it's only when we get to humans, right? It's only when we get to humans does the human female psyche say, I don't need a man. Like, you do realize you're legit like the only fucking creature in nature that says that, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
just let that one marinate.
You know, I'm gonna tell a story.
You got it.
I was talking to this African
Hey, real quick.
sister.
Hey, do you when do you want to drop? When do you want to drop the link, bro?
You can drop whenever you want to.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, African sister was telling me a story about her godmother telling her to not have women as friends.
Oh shit.
And I was like, damn, like, to hear an African
Damn.
woman say that, like, it was like shocking. I'm like, wow, why'd she say that? So she said her godmother was married to this man, and she had a so-called friend who she always made it a point to try to throw up the men that she had in her life in her face to try to make it seem like her husband wasn't shit. And so it got to a point because what a lot of men don't realize is that, and this is just what nature is. If we looking to buy a product, we go online and we look at the specs of it. We see, if there any good reviews, like, does it look good? Does it fit what we're looking for? Like,
Quality. All
yeah,
that.
we go straight forward. Women don't do that. Women look for opinions. We look for information. See what I'm saying? So there's a different mindset. So they're going to be looking for a lot of times the women that they value, no matter if those women are good or bad.
Yeah, what they
They're going to
have
be
to
looking
say
for those
about
women
something.
to approve of their
Right.
choice. That's very important to a lot of women. Now, it really shouldn't be, but it is.
Well, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say this is our whole male masculine minds, right? A linear logic thought and all saying,
Right.
dude, that doesn't make
But
any
we got to
goddamn
but we
sense.
got to
But
understand
we
their world.
gotta,
Yeah, we got to
yes,
understand
yeah.
their world. Especially if that world has made them think that they should be in fear of the masculine world. So we got to factor that in too.
which
So
is a whole, because that that kind of doesn't even make sense to me. But
right,
like I said, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because I know you got a point. I don't
right.
want to Christian. Yeah, go ahead.
So and so she finally was fed up with the notion that he wasn't shit, even though it was coming through her so-called friend. So the dude got tired of her. He ended up getting tired of her and he divorced her. But when he divorced her, guess who he ended up marrying? Her so-called friend.
Wait, the girl who salted him out.
The female that was constantly trying to make her feel like her husband wasn't shit
Yeah, that's what
was
I'm
the
saying. The one that
woman
was
was
salting him out.
the woman he ended up marrying. He married her.
Oh shit.
Now I'm gonna tell you what probably was happening. When she got him to her, so she maybe got his phone number or something like that, and they were talk, and she probably behind the scenes was saying, "Man, she always talking about you like you ain't nothing," and she was just boom. I don't think they ever actually had a conversation with each other, because if they'd have had a conversation with each other, they would have found out like, man, she was telling me this one thing, but she telling you another thing. Oh, she was trying to split us apart. I don't think they ever had that conversation, because when he got tired of her, he just was not trying to have a conversation with her at all,
At all.
and he made the move. But she made her feel like her husband was worthless, and then took him. She took him,
That's cold blooded, bro.
and
I
so
mean,
so again so again like so now we know in our world, like, we already know in our world, if a man is trying to come on, to our wife, we know blows is coming, like
yeah,
tools is getting pulled, and it's
yeah.
direct. It's very direct. There ain't no mince in the words. It's like, I got to get at you, dog. Like, that's just,
Like, come
it
on,
is what
man.
it
What we
is,
doing, bro?
right? But
It's
for
more of
women,
them or
it's
us. It's more of them or us. What you pulling up on mine
like,
for?
right, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
in their world, it's a much more subtle. It's still
No,
war.
it's well,
It's
okay. Is it a numbers thing, right? Because it's in the inverse, right?
Right.
So they're way more sneakier about it.
Right.
It's more in, yeah, it's a little bit more, it has to be more gamified, as they call it,
Right.
right? Aside to say grimy. Yes. Yes, that's the word. Grimy.
Right. You
Yeah.
know.
Dudes is kind of like you said, it's pretty rudimentary, right? We know what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
You know what it is. Like you know
Yeah,
what it is. Like
we know what that shit is, right?
right. I mean that dude
But
see
like
dude
low
coming
man,
around the
but like
corner.
the females, man, look, they just ooh, man.
Yeah, he dude see dude coming around the corner. Either he gonna knuckle up or he running. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
he's
one
one
or
of
the
the
other,
two.
bro. It's like, hey,
One of the
man,
two.
shit.
You know what I'm saying? You know what it is. You know what I mean? So, but again, that's what you've been hearing for 18 years of your life. That's what you've seen your mom do to men is treat them like they were nothing. So in your mind, hey,
Ooh,
this is normal. But you've been
bruh.
completely ill prepared to be able to connect with that other side. And so now that you're 18 plus, you don't have a lot of years to waste. You know, a lot of women think that their biology is operating off of the same frequency as men's biology. It's not. This is why we have old women getting on shows talking about I still got it. Man, you 50 years old. No, you don't.
I
It's
mean,
over.
I mean, yeah, you got what a 50-year-old got. Like you still, you ain't no, you don't still got nothing.
You ain't got it, boo. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
you got literally what you got at where you at right now. That's what you got.
Which is nothing.
Yeah,
You ain't got it.
it's whatever that is. I don't know. Well, listen, I'm gonna be kind enough to actually not make a judgment, right? Like that's how kind I am, even though I'm an arrogant prick and all that, according to the manosphere. At least I'm kind enough to say, hey, listen, I'm not gonna judge what that is, right? I'm just saying, just understand that whatever that is, when you bring it to the market and then the buyers come up and they go, I'll pass. Just take it for what it is.
It is what it is.
Just
That's
take it for what
nature.
it is, right?
Because
Yeah.
nature is fair. Women get a lot of advantage early in life, but men get a lot of advantage later in life.
Well, wait
It's
a minute. I mean,
it's balance,
they call it mother nature for a reason, right?
right?
And they call it father time for a reason, right?
Right.
Well, okay. So at least as very masculine heterosexual men who are on their shit, we understand these concepts. What the
Right.
fuck's going on with these chicks?
It's their world, man. It's the world that they're cultivated in.
Mm,
It is truly. I'm gonna
hey,
be honest with you. Like, if I had to pick, I'm taking the man's work because it's easier. It is.
no, I'm good. I'm good right where I'm at, bro. Like, there's
It's
never
good.
been a time
It's
where
easier.
I was sitting up here one day, like, you know what? Life would be so much easier if I was a female. Fuck that. Listen,
Nah, bro. No.
listen. It's like this. I appreciate females. I really do. I I understand the benefit that they bring to a man's life, and I know what kind of benefit I could bring to theirs. The whole thing is that once again, I'm gonna tie this back into mother nature, right? Because
Mhm.
see, this isn't, if we're gonna call it mother nature, let's not give it a patriarchal like my
Right.
framework
Exactly.
here. Let's not do that, right? It was mother nature that literally created this shit the way it is, right? We're just doing our part as masculine men.
Yep.
We're under no illusion as to what our role is here,
No.
as Mother Nature intended it, right? Not
Right.
Father, Mother Nature intended it.
Mhm.
So we are in line with what Mother Nature intended. What's up with y'all? Hey, and let's flip the mirror, right? Let's flip the mirror because see, there's also a lot of men who really are not in line with what Mother Nature intended for them.
Right.
Some of them got,
Exactly.
or should I say, a lot of them got some what? Mommy issues.
Definitely.
Okay. And let's flip the mirror on that one also. I would say that there's a lot of women that have daddy or father time issues. i.e., the woman who thinks she quote unquote still has it.
Yeah, yeah, because that's a masculine energy
Ain't
mindset.
that some shit? Ain't this
Yeah.
awesome shit, dude? Isn't this
Hmm.
beautiful how it all ties together?
Yes, yes, yes. And that's why I said, in the beginning, like, you know, masculinity and femininity is not biology, it's psyche.
Yes.
It's psyche.
It's psyche first, then, dude, it all, like I said, non-physical, physical, right?
Right.
Anything that manifests in the third dimensional physical realm starts first in the non-physical. It's a thought. It's a
Now,
product. It's a product of the psyche.
now I want to read something regarding happiness.
You got it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is dealing with finding authentic happiness. The current thinking about happiness suggests that it's a long term goal and that you can gradually reach a much happier life situation by following a number of exercises. Through specific activities, such as those described below, you can elevate your state of mind, which can affect various aspects of your life success. Martin Seligman, a former president of the American Psychological Association and pioneer of the positive psychology movement, outlined a number of aspects of what he calls authentic happiness. According to Seligman, you can experience three types of happiness. Pleasant life is number one. It entails pleasures, instant gratification, or hedonism. Good life,
Mhm.
getting the things that you want or desire. Meaningful life, belonging to and serving in something larger and more worthwhile than just your own pleasures and desires. Authentic happiness combines all three lives and provides for the full life, a life that satisfies all three criteria of happiness.
Hmm. Hmm.
So even when we're talking about things like stoicism has a purpose. It's not meant to be stoic your whole life. Stoicism comes in a time where there are times in your life where you have to be isolated to develop, to get that focus that you need in order to accomplish certain goals, to get into a frame of mind that you need. Um,
Are you
we obviously
speaking to males or females? Who are you speaking to?
males
Okay.
specific
Okay.
males
Okay.
specifically.
All right.
We obviously even when it comes to things like meditation, meditation is an ancient practice. They're solitude. I mean, it's good for women too. Um, but obviously, as men, we're tasked with building, and so it's hard for you to be a builder when you're not a thinker, and it's hard to be a thinker when you
If
got a
you don't
lot of
have time to
confusion.
think,
Right? You got to have clear mind. And so that's why spaces like this can be good and bad, because one of the things that I try to do is get men to put something in their hand so they can read. I'm very what's the word it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's for a purpose when I'm putting things in their hands to read, because reading books is a form of meditation.
yeah,
It is.
you literally have to go into an entranced state to read, bro.
Right.
It's I forgot what the conscious state is, because how they have like the different levels of sleep, right? The different types, like there's REM sleep, and then there's the other ones, and then when you're awake, there's these different states of consciousness when you're awake. When you're reading, that is actually a specific state of consciousness, like awakened state of consciousness. You're absolutely right. You are
Right.
literally in an entranced state.
Right. And so um and that's why, like, I've learned to do this throughout the years. Like when I've seen men talk about wanting to be free, and they want a better opportunity, one of the first things I do is put a book in their face, because it lets me know if they're serious or not. If they don't utilize it, if they don't take it, I already know they're not serious. So I don't have to waste my time trying to convince and cajole and all that type of stuff. I just put the book in their face. And in most of my experiences, as far as dealing with, black men on this particular issue, they don't pick up the book. They don't.
No.
They don't. They don't. And we can sit here and say for whatever reason, it don't matter. The reality is they don't pick it up.
Man, look, the goddamn bare minimum, get the audiobook. Shit.
Right. Even with the audio books. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you
You
got
know,
people that
put it in
you
your
got
put your earbuds on, play it, go to sleep.
right.
Let it soak into the subconscious, something, right?
Something. You know what I mean? And so that lets me know, they're not serious when it comes to that. I've seen only a handful of men in these spaces say, "Yo, man, I really got that book, man. Appreciate it, man. I really blah 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 blah." So sometimes, man, like I say, be careful what you ask for, because if you get in these spaces, you're gonna meet certain men that will challenge your heart and see, do you really want it like that? And we know, what happened, on our channel as far as like with Mike on it. And what Art was, I mean, not Art, but what Mike was really doing, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It was just a challenge saying, we can do this. Regardless of what they're doing over there or not doing, because we can come together and we're supposed to have the testicular fortitude, the balls, the audacity to get this stuff done, regardless of what they're doing or not doing, because that's what we're supposed to do, no matter what.
Right.
Because we're supposed to go on our quest, and maybe our quest and maybe our journey is to do it in a way that is not inclusive of them, but in a lot of ways that gives men a lot more power. Because if women are saying you got to do it by yourself, even though the men don't have to, that makes you be more powerful and say, well, when I do get it, I don't have to give you anything. I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you no debt or anything like that. So again, you just never know what your quest and your journey is supposed to be. But that pain that you might feel from it is really a way to just get you going in that direction that you need to, so you can fully self-develop. And in that case, the pain is necessary. It's worth it. It gets you going. And so, at the end of the day, we understand what that is, because in the lanes that we're in, pain is what got us into the lane itself. you know it's what's got us in the
That's what I
lane
mean.
itself.
It's like, I don't know. I think like everything that's kind of really kind of got me to this point, man. When I really think about it, bro, it was like there were some happy times in everything that I've done kind of leading up to this. But dude, sometimes like I think about it, I'll be sitting, man, okay, bro, like how many times we've been on the phone and I'm like, yo, I gotta take this call, dude, I'll call you back. Yo, I gotta take
Mm.
this call, I gotta call you back. And then I pushed live streams back because it's like, okay, man, I got this call later. So I planned this, but I told this dude I'll talk to him later. Then I pushed the live stream back, right?
Mm.
It's just kind of like,
But I'm talking about in terms of business. You told me you got a celestial tap on your shoulder.
yeah,
Your
yeah,
muse tapped you on your shoulder.
yeah,
So, you know, now when we look at business, you know, um, look, Farrakhan said this years ago. He said, business is the science of life. He said, because every creature on the planet takes what it needs from its environment to survive and thrive. He said, it's nature.
okay,
Business is about nature. When a squirrel is gathering acorns for the winter, when we see the squirrel in the spring and summer, when they start collecting acorns, why are they doing it? Because they know the cycle of time. So they
yes,
know that fall and winter is coming, and they don't want to be out there when it's cold and snowing, cold, trying to find something to eat. So nature, Mother Nature compels the squirrel to go out there and collect the acorn. But what is the acorns representing? That's economics.
It's economics, right? Like stock now for later. I was gonna say, this is a quote that always kind of stuck with me. Business is the act of nonviolent warfare.
Yes. Boy, I was just I was just having this conversation yesterday. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
war. It is warfare. Yes.
yeah. I was gonna say it's like okay, because basically, what is business, right? It's negotiating,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's negotiating. It's and there's certain parameters that garner these negotiations, right? Moral ethics, standards, all these types of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
That make a deal fair and equitable.
Right.
And each party's understanding of this is what leads to an equitable deal, right?
Right.
Now, in lieu of that, what do you have? You have me coming up to you and say, yo, Ra, yo, run that shit.
No.
Right? And then you over here on complex like nigga, run that shit, nigga, take this shit.
Right.
Right? Then there's warfare, actual warfare, right?
Mm-hmm.
So business is the art of nonviolent warfare,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
You got something I want. Simply put,
Yep.
right?
It's really it's a way of forcing people to conform to your will.
In
That's
so many
power
ways.
because
Yeah.
it's your idea. It's your idea. That's power. That's really tap into the creative power that is just essential for life. Creativity is essential for life. Like that's what humans have done. Like creative is tapping into when you're in business, what you're really doing is tapping into the sexual energy, and you're just transmitting it through the business context because you're creating and you're producing, and that's nothing but creation. It's nothing but birth. you know and you're,
Wait.
you're just
So
switching it to you're just switching it into this particular realm, but you're getting the abundance, which is tapping into creation, because when the rains fall and it hit the earth, you have trees form and fruit come from the trees and you have abundance.
hey,
It's the
wait,
same thing.
I got something for you, dude. Some I look, I'm probably gonna have to go blow some herb after this one, dude, because something just hit me like a ton of bricks when you said that. Like, cause you related like creation to sexual energy, right?
Right.
Right. So literally, like taking the primal energy that's used to procreate humans, right, and it's just transmuted to create something else, right?
Right.
That's material as opposed to a human. So let's take for example Tesla, right? You have a
Mhm.
Model S, a Model 3, which is a backwards E, and a Model X. What does that
Mm.
spell?
Come on. Come on. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry, y'all. Hey, man, we over. We on one right now.
I'm just saying.
Yo, oh man, no, that's. As soon as you said that, I was like, yo, the
Come on,
Model
man.
S, the Model E, the Model X. What's that
Come on.
spell? Y'all
You
think
can't.
y'all if y'all think Ryan's full of shit for that one, I'm just that's why I brought the Tesla example out. If y'all think y'all think he just full of it.
It's what it is. Like and but when you're able to redirect that energy, especially from a male perspective, you really can truly, create. You know, part of that creativity is going into the feminine, into that abyss, you know, of unconsciousness. You know, you're tapping into recesses in your brain that you didn't even know was there. Like you ever been? I'm pretty sure you've seen this. Like you've been sitting there thinking about some stuff, like, or you could have been on the phone, like you like I don't know what how things are gonna work out, and then you just talking and talking, and then you just pull some shit out your ass, and that shit worked. You're like, damn, that shit worked.
Yeah.
Damn. But you don't know where that shit came. Like you just like, damn, like I said that and it worked with these folks. Like, you know,
Kind of makes you trip for a second. Like
right,
yo, but then after it happens a few times, that's when you start to kind of understand the power in your words,
right, right,
right? You start to kind of understand, okay, wait a minute. I was tripping that worked, but the fact of the matter is that what I was communicating ultimately was my true intention,
right, exactly.
right? So now that we understand that, communicating our true intentions more than likely gets us the results that we look for in life,
Right.
then we become what? We try to become more effective communicators,
Thank you.
i.e., the soft skills, i.e., emotional intelligence, i.e., everything. This live stream and the one prior, we're tying it all together here. This is all encompassing because we're finding, like I said in the previous live stream, we're finding that there's large lapses and gaps in our social development, and we can extrapolate this from the greater social media conversations that go on.
Right.
And what we find specifically here, right? Right here on this platform here, what we're finding about that is that so much of what needs to be addressed isn't being addressed. Henceforth, sapiosexualism, psychology, the non-physical shit. We need to get this squared away, because it's the non-physical that the inefficiencies, the dysfunctions, the deficiencies, anything that takes place there, guarantee goddamn it, you're gonna see it in the third dimensional realm.
Right. Right. It's you know, and some of the stuff that I was reading earlier was like, again, you know, when you're sure of yourself, man, that's very unsettling for people who are not sure of themselves. They they take it as you being arrogant, but it's just self-esteem. That's
Mm.
all it is. But because they're unsure of themselves, they need you to shrink so they can feel tall. So that's why you have to really listen to what people say when they say things like, who do you think you are? Because what they're saying is subconsciously, like, you're towering over them.
That's an interesting question to ask somebody.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've never walked around, and you never walked around telling people like, yo, I'm better than you, I'm better than you, I'm better than you, I'm better than you. Like, we've never been those types of people.
But wait a minute. Think about the question. Who do you think you are?
Right.
Yeah, like I'm thinking about the question. I'm like, who do I think I am? Bitch, me.
Right.
Do you think I'm walking around thinking I'm somebody else?
Right.
Right? It says a lot about how they perceive you. That's what you're talking about, right? Like when people feel some kind of way, they project it on you. Who do you
That's
think you are?
that's what they do. Like, there was a chick that in high school I was interested in, and I thought she was cool. She had a great personality. Her and her sister were adopted, and maybe this might have played into it. And I'll just never forget, like one day she was like, bro, you just so cocky. You just so cocky. And I was like, what? Because if anybody knew me in high school, like I was a very reserved, person. Like, with my crew, like we did our thing. You know what I'm saying? But in school I was cool. Like I laid back, didn't bother people, anything like that. I wasn't a bully or anything like that. So, and I was like, what are you talking about? She like, you're just cocky, just the way just the way you walk around, and you're just so cocky. I'm like, huh? I'm like, I mean, there were plenty of people that was in school like who were just arrogant, like jerks, and like I was just like, what? And so, but when I reflected back on it, some years later, I realized that really what it was, she actually liked me, and
Yeah.
instead of her saying something to that effect or give me some cues, like really, like she tried to make me feel how she felt about herself, which was low. So in order to feel like she had a chance with me, she actually tried to make me feel low instead of just having that kind of conversation back then. So even at that particular time, even at her life, like her default setting was to try to make me feel in an inferior way because because people can pick up on it, like it's energy, so people can pick up on it. And if they want to cut you down, it could be somebody that just be like, man, I don't like that nigga. I'm gonna make him feel bad. It could be a female.
Yeah.
And you have to be really aware. You have to have that self-awareness, like to really know, like, yo, okay, like I see what this is. I'm not gonna even engage, with this type of nonsense. And
Or
so
either
that's
that,
why,
or either that, or you check them right then and there, right?
right? You can.
Right.
I mean, it just depends on how you want to
That's
deal
what I
with it.
was
Like,
gonna say. Yeah, because there's one or two ways. Because I done both, right? Because I
right, yeah, I
understand
have to.
exactly what you're saying. There's those scenarios where you you sniffed it coming into the room, right? And you like, you know
Right,
what? I'm just gonna be like a part of the background.
right,
That's actually my default, bro. Like I said, I move around like I'm a part of the background, right? I'm just a part of the tapestry, dude. This just the setting, like. I'm just a part of what it is that you're supposed to see. Like I should not stand out in any kind of way. That's how I maneuver,
right.
right? But then on the flip though, yeah, there's those times where somebody gonna have to get hollered at.
Right. But see, the thing, what made her approach to me so dangerous was the fact that when she said it, she didn't say it in a malicious way. She said it in a very unassuming, like carefree way, like it was funny.
Well, just kind of
But her
basically being honest with you.
right, but the intent, whether she was understanding of it or not, unconsciously, it was malicious in intent, though. It was. Because a lot of
I
times
mean, why would you say that?
right,
Yeah,
because a lot of times we think that somebody that's being malicious. See, in our group, we like to think that the worst types of women can be the women who, your Keishas and cuss you out and just go off on you. Nah, those are not the worst ones. It's the ones that can subtly prick you. And if another woman was around to hear what they had to say to you and they were in their feminine energy, when she walks away, that woman would be like, she just basically called you an idiot, right?
yeah.
And you're sitting there like, what? What are you talking about? No, she didn't. No, did I listen to the conversation? She said this, you said this, she said this, you said this,
Yeah,
and then she
basically
said
kind of
that.
made you look like a whole
Boom.
dummy out here.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Because they can, the reason why, like, cats like us will piss them off a lot of times because we can hear what they're saying, even if they don't directly say it. So we can call them on it, like, yo, what you doing? Like,
Come on,
like
yeah, come on. That don't make no
I see what
sense.
this is. You know what I'm saying? And so again, like, you know, that, um, that really takes a certain level of self-awareness to be able to see what they're actually saying and to really hone in on it. because a lot of times what they'll do is like, well, I didn't say that. Like, it's like, no, you got to understand the context of the conversation you're talking in, all different types of elements. That's what your emotional intelligence allows you to do. It allows you to it allows you to hear what a woman is saying, or just in general, when the person is not actually saying it. You get to see like, what is this person really saying? And so, that's why a lot of times, if you actually dealing with women who are trying to undermine what you represent, that's why a lot of times they don't like direct questions, because the direct questions force them to put it on the table.
And that's
you
the
know
reason why I'm a big fan of speaking directly, right, from the onset. So, because at least from my end, look, you know what you're gonna get, take it or leave it, right?
right.
Kind of, it's what do they call it? Self, kind of, what do they call it? Where it just sort of kind of weeds itself out,
Right.
right? I'm a big fan of direct communication. So if that's not what you like to do, I'm not the guy for you, because pretty much every time you speak with me, it's going to be some method of direct communication, right? I might do it with some humor. It may be a serious discussion, right? I might get a little lively with it. Who knows? Get a little intense.
Mhm.
However, whatever the mechanism, it's going to be direct. Like I said, if whether it's a flirtatious conversation, a
Mhm.
humorous one, a serious one, whatever it is, the communication is going to be direct regardless, right? Regardless, that's what you're going to get right off rip. So I think that's where you you have to have a commanding tone. This may
Yes.
even be like another conversation, like another topic that we have to cover.
Yeah, I always say that as a man, when it comes to a feminine woman, you don't have to make any demands. You command, and it's two different things. Because when you command, when you command true authority, it's going to reveal to you who's around you. The masculine women are going to try to oppose you.
Hmm.
Feminine women are going to try to get with you. They're going to be like, "Hey, what's your name is?" You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to come because it's almost like it's like emotional pheromones is attracting them to you. Like, damn, I don't know what this dude got going on, but damn, I like this dude, and they just can't explain it. Like, but it's just it's just that you know that just authority that just comes with being a man, that just really sizzles them in that way, and they helpless against it. This is why a lot of masculine energy women fight men so much, because true men will break that castle wall down. Like, man, get out of here with that nonsense. This is or a lot of times he ain't even got to say anything. He can just look at you, and
Well,
it's
I was
over.
gonna say, I was
It's
gonna
over.
say, well, let's look at the two. Let's look at the two terms, right? I'm a word junkie, right? This is why when we do these live streams and we schedule them, oftentimes the topic is like one word. There's a
Right.
lot to pick apart out of one word, right? But
Right.
let's take these two words you just mentioned: command, demand, right?
Hmm.
What is okay? Let's let's do the etymon: co-mand, demand, right? Co is in a um is in a um proficient position. So if you co-man something, that means that it's you and another co two, right? So if you command something, it's you and the other person go, right? Or two
Right.
parties, two entities, two thoughts, two ideas, command.
Hmm.
Demand, you're in a deficient position and you're requesting, right? So one is
Hmm.
requesting of the other to do something.
Hmm.
Demand, right? So the person requesting the other is in a deficient position, requesting the person, I guess, in a proficient position to do something, right? You
Hmm.
don't want to demand people to do stuff. When you're demanding something, you're in a okay, demand deficient. Oh my god. Language.
Language all day.
Language. Language. Yes. Command, demand. Yes, we always want to be in a commanding position all the time. You need
Right.
to recognize the difference between being in a commanding position and being in a demanding position. If you understand the difference between the two, then that means that you'll understand that one, when you're in a demanding position, and then two, you never want to be there.
This is what a one of the quotes from this philosopher that I like, Lao Tzu, said. He said, "Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power."
Hmm.
See,
Isn't it easier to try to like lord over others than lord over yourself?
usually people who try to lord over others usually have no self control.
Boom. Yep.
If you look at the movie Gladiator, that's why Marcus Aurelius wanted to give the emperor position to Maximus, because he said, "Look, I'm just a regular farmer. I don't want it." And he was like, "That's exactly why you should have the power, because you don't want it." He said, "That's why Rome needs somebody like you," because he knew his son just wanted the power for
He
power's
just
sake.
wanted power for power's sake. Yeah, ego
You know
gratification.
what I'm saying? He knew that Maximus was the leader. He was a leader, even though he was from the lower class, the plebiscites, whereas Marcus Aurelius, they were with the patrician class. He was like, he looked over his own son to say, "You know what? If we want to keep this thing going, we got to give it to him, not to my son, not to my own blood." Because I think there was a policy in actually Rome where they didn't just choose their sons to take over. Like it was something different there, and I think it was to try to keep that away in the first place. Um, and so because as we can clearly see in history, intelligence ain't necessarily passed down genetically just because
No,
it's
no.
kingdoms involved. Like if anything, it's the complete opposite.
I was gonna
With the
say, well, there's a lot of dudes. Look, a lot of guys that I know. You know, it usually ends. Oftentimes, it's their nephew, the
hmm
son of a brother, right? Sometimes it's not even their own kid, dude. It's their nephew and shit.
hmm
I've seen that a lot, man. Like especially like motorsport racing stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to be bringing my nephew up. What's going on with your son? Oh, dude, he's into that other crap,
right,
right? But there's a nephew, and we've always even seen this in like um a lot of the established business giants, right? It typically went from founder. Sometimes it went, oftentimes it went to the son, but a lot of times it went to the nephew,
right,
right? It went to the son of a brother,
yep,
right? Because it could have been like the two brothers who founded it. Maybe one brother didn't have any kids or just didn't have any kids that was really in there. But that nephew, he was groomed for this.
right,
Or it's your brother's son just basically has kind of taken or has gravitated towards something that you do, not anything that his pops does, but because you're his dad's brother, right?
hmm
There's still that fraternal relationship there. I've
right,
seen it oftentimes, man. The nephew is oftentimes the guy who steps up.
Hmm.
or is pegged.
Right, right. Because they, you know, if there's a book that I really love this book. It's called Kids, Wealth, and Consequences,
Hmm.
and for anybody that is, you know, with the mindset of passing down generational wealth and things like that to their children. It really is a great investment because it shows that many times one of the main reasons why many children of wealthy people end up developing alcohol and drug problems is because their parents unwittingly robbed them of their drive and ambition. And the reason why they did it unwittingly is because they thought that if they just threw money at them,
That
it
was
would
going
just
to
be
just,
all good.
yeah.
And what they learned over the years is that, because I've said this before, this is why wealthy kids and kids who grew up on the system, they're very similar in their outlooks on life because they both have a sense of an entitlement. There's no work ethic that's developed there a lot of times because on the poor end, your mama getting a check every month, there's no work ethic to be seen by the children. There's no man around.
Hmm.
And then on the other side, even when there's father and mother, stable environment, because you're throwing money at your children, you don't give them a chance to see what their desire and ambition really is. You have people that, let's say, for example, let's say if a father has a bank and he's like, oh, well, you should go in the family business. You just can't do that. Your son might want to be a social worker. So instead of like forcing him into the family business, help him develop a nonprofit that could be tied into his social work and let him expand in that lane. You
See,
know,
yeah,
that's a
that.
whole different type of mentality. Like, because really what you're trying to do is impose your dream and the thing that drove you to do what you did. You're trying to impose that on your child, and you can't do that.
See, that's where. So these were things, man. Um, man, my wife and I had to like we had a lot of conversations about this, right?
Right.
Because you know we talked about having a child, right? Like
Mhm.
okay, see, so it's a difference between you're doing it with somebody and then you're like, hey, I'm pregnant or whatever, right? And then there's that, and then the other scenario, which is the more preferred one, is that you talk about having children, right? Prior to pregnancy happening. So what this tells us is that there's some intention to have a child, right?
Right.
And along with that intention, because the conversation is being had, and that conversation entails like how that upbringing is going to happen, right? And then there's agreeances and there's things that are, see, that's that whole marry before you carry, blah 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 blah. But see, you don't hear about the dirty details because there's not a lot of people that are on these platforms like literally conveying the dirty details. But the dirty details literally involve like talking about how you want to bring your child up. What are the type of things you're going to expose them to?
Hmm.
What you're going to either.
What kind of school you want them to go
Yeah,
to,
oh,
things,
there you go
all
ahead,
that
dude.
type of stuff.
All
Yeah.
that, all that, all that, all that, all that, all
What kind of summer camps? You could be with somebody and they might want their kid to go to a summer camp that's just full of playing around. Another parent might be like, no, I want them to go to
that. I
this
want to
coding
tech.
summer camp.
Yeah, I want to go to a tech camp
Yeah.
over the summer. I want them to go to this. I want them to go to that. I'm saying there's all these different things. Like if you are literally making the decisions on that level, you'd be surprised how many things in terms of like problems and dysfunctions and stuff you would actually eliminate from a child's life, right? This is why I'm saying, we always hear that, well, you should have got married before you got pregnant. This. But can any of these people kind of speak to the legit benefits as to why you would want to do these type of things? Not only that, and I'm saying from experience, so much so to the point where it's sort of like I can relay it from personal conversations with what I have with my wife. Like when you literally talk about you're laying in bed and you're talking about, well, we have a child, we're gonna have a daughter, we're gonna have a son. We want them to do private school, public school. We want to homeschool. Do we want to make the baby food? Right? Are we making baby food for the baby? What are we doing here?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like that's kind of how deep it gets actually. Um, but damn, we're so not there with it that we're dealing with unintended consequences from very lackadaisical and lackadaisical thought and decisions that didn't have a whole lot of thought in them. That's largely what we're dealing with versus very intended planning and outcomes. Two different mindsets, two different modalities.
Two different ones, and um, you know, like I said, I love this particular book because in this book I actually saw that they show that children who tend to come from these types of background in terms of wealthy families have a higher propensity to actually develop drug and alcohol problems more than actually children from poor backgrounds. And I
Right.
was like, wow, damn.
I can
Like,
tell you, dude. I have like homies that I like came up with, right? Like white homies, right? Dude didn't have a care in the world growing up, but somehow they found themselves dealing with a lot of issues in their 20s. Nothing,
hmm
nothing that they encountered, dude. No, at no point in life up until we got into our mid 20s and we were kind of doing our adult thing.
hmm
And then all of a sudden, dude, this is where like the shit you face as an adult starts to hit them like a ton of bricks. Why? Because when they were younger, their pops, their uncles, whoever, didn't kind of like we were talking about, take them out into a fields with a 12 gauge to go tell them, let's go shoot a gun, let's go
hmm
hunt something, let's go do this, let's go do that. Early
hmm
on, right? You gotta you what you have to do is you have to get shaken up out of your comfort zone,
hmm
right? To the point where as a man you have to get used to not being in a comfort zone because if
hmm
we should be in a state of building, if we are in a constant state of development, if we're in a constant state of planning, if that's what we truly are, look, we can be content with our situation, but we can never be comfortable,
Never. Yep.
right?
Never.
We can never be comfortable. Um, I'm gonna do, hey, dude. Go ahead and just build on it. I'm just gonna grab a quick bottle of water, dude. I'm thirsty as shit.
Okay.
All right, give me just a second.
All right.
And let me just check the chat. I don't know if any, dude. We just been building, bro. I don't even know if anybody's been in the chat, man. Probably not.
Hey man, it's certain topics
It's all
like
good.
these,
It's hey,
man.
it's for the playback. Cause yo, like on the last one we did, like the numbers jump a lot on the playbacks, dude. Part of it, I think, is we do it. We doing it late at night.
Yeah, that's true.
That's part of it, dude. Because West Coast, it's 11 o'clock right now, dude. So a lot of people, they then checked out, and then they'll catch the replays, dude. And that's when I see the numbers go up. Is on the
Yeah.
replays. You know. Wait, hold on a second. What's up, baby? What's up? Oh, actually, let's do this. Because it's actually 11 o'clock. I didn't realize my daughter's still up. I need to get her back to bed. Um, we coming up on 2 hour, 2.5. We have 2 hours and 20 minutes. Let's give it another 10, bro.
Okay.
Or do you want to just like, I mean, like I said, I wanted to flip the mirror on this one because I started the last one out. Then I wanted you to go ahead, and then I kind of been springboarding off of your conversation and what you've been reading this whole time. So, do you want to close it out? You got some more to put on it? I got like
Yeah,
another 10 minutes.
I'll throw a little bit more
Okay,
just on the
okay, let's
fire
go.
to end it off.
Okay,
I'll do that.
all right, you got it.
Um, I wanted to read this, and I wanted to read a certain passage. And this is really geared towards men, but it can be applicable to women in a certain way. Um, I'm quoting a life coach who said this. Um, but it's actually from a book that I've referenced a lot in this space called "Will I Ever Be Good Enough Healing the Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers?" But this quote is really, I think, it's really a powerful quote by this life coach.
Mm,
He said, "Creativity and excellence require selfishness. So does evolution. When you know you're onto something, a potential breakthrough of any kind, you need the purest kind of focus and concentration possible. You need to answer to the callings of your heart and mind before you answer to the callings of the tribe." I'm going to read that one more time. You need to answer to the callings of your heart and mind before you answer to the callings of the tribe.
mm.
You need to accept that a reasonable and responsible level of selfishness builds long term benefits for everyone you care about. Many people in this space will have you believing that it's your duty as a black man to save Black America from their sins and all this other silly crap that we've had 100 years of people who have sacrificed their lives, and most Black people don't follow anything they damn said. Um, when you talk about this type of selfishness, it's that what we were talking about in terms of like kind of relating to the stoicism. Like there comes a point in time where you have to be isolated if you're trying to get to a certain level of evolution. There is a sense of aloneness that you have to go through. It's just a part of it.
I mean,
Um,
you find you'll I mean you'll find that ultimately, um, as you get to where you need to go, you'll start to coalesce with the circles that you need to. Right?
right,
You move from one set of uh, social circles and you move into another. But in that process, there's that isolation period, man. Absolutely right.
right. And so, you know, and a lot of people, a lot of men, because a lot of us have lost our ways because of that lack of masculine influence, think that aloneness is a bad thing. No, that's exactly where you need to be, because
We
in
did
that silence, huh?
I was gonna say, we did a Sapio live stream called Solitude, speaking to that, the positive benefits of solitude, right? How you positively benefit and leverage time alone.
Mm, see,
That's in the catalog. Go dig it up, y'all.
and you know, because you're dealing with a group that's constellated a certain way. Um, this is the beautiful thing about consciousness is that when consciousness is oriented right, that could mean that your consciousness instructs you to stray away from the group that you're in terms of the moves that you make. And so that's where that selfishness comes in at, to recognize that you're being selfish, but for a good cause. You need to develop who you are, because the more you develop as a man, the more self-esteem is going to grow within you, the more confidence you're going to have as you build on each block of accomplishment. So the very people that want something from you are telling you to go against what you're supposed to do to actually be able to produce in a way that you can actually help. But because they're not doing it, you know, it's easy for them to say, like, well, what you're doing is wrong. But a lot of times when you ask those people, like, well, what's your plan? They don't even have a plan.
Man, ain't got shit.
They ain't got shit.
Well, well, whatever I was thinking, it's not gonna happen because the man ain't gonna let it. Um, you know, white supremacy and everything else. Hey, I just found it. I'm posting it right now. Episode 656, Solitude. That's it right there.
Okay.
Well, let's do this, man. I got to get my shorty to bed, and yeah, it's been a long one, bro. But this was, I think, a really good follow up, man, to the not original, the first emotional intelligence live stream we did, which was literally like a day or two ago,
Yeah.
right? I think this was a real good addendum because on that initial one, we covered it from a different angle. This over here, we went more in depth with application and kind of like real world scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think ultimately the whole point of us speaking to emotional intelligence largely has to do with getting people up to speed with regards to their emotional maturity. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we can't be problem solvers if we're thinking immaturely.
Right.
Like that we just that's a non-starter.
Right.
It's
Right.
just
I
not
agree.
possible.
No, because you can't even intelligently really identify really what the issues are. You
Right.
can't.
And then when once we do that, once we've kind of come to sort of like a ground floor consensus on what something is, at that point we can't be obtuse, we can't be intellectually dishonest, right? By then dismissing what it is that we've discovered by saying, well, worst case scenarios could happen, so what's the point?
Right. You can't come into a space like this and say men should be productive. This should be about productive
Uh-huh.
men, and then the men don't be productive. Like, it's
Okay.
just the message is flat.
Well,
It's
guess
not
what you
standing.
also can't do? You also can't say that the space is actually about relationships, right? And then when the relationship uh conversation comes up, your shortcomings are called into question.
Well, I was on Edward's channel, I think last year, and I asked a question. I said, let's say tomorrow every single available black female said, you know what? We have heard everything y'all have said in these spaces. We have had the time to sit back and listen to everything, and we wholeheartedly agree 100% with what y'all are saying.
Uh-huh.
Now, what's y'all plan? I was like, would the men be ready for that?
What
And it
did
was
he
just
say?
like,
What did Eduardo say,
it
man?
was just, it was. I think he said no. I think he said no,
No, no,
and
what? No, wait, no, what?
that the men wouldn't be ready. It wouldn't be ready. And I was like, and my point was
Okay,
was like,
okay, well, yeah, yeah.
my point was that, I mean, you're asking for something, because I mean, from the things that I have seen, like, and I'm not saying like men should just die for it because they say. I'm just saying that, what if that is the case? Like, what if that actually happened? Like, what if you get those type of people that you say should be on this, like, get on it, and
Okay,
you
dude.
now they called your bluff, but you ain't got a plan. And so now
Dude,
you're like,
wait.
they're gonna be like, man, y'all just full of it, man.
Well, hold up. What? Without going into any details on a private conversation, what did we tell you we were noticing?
Come on, man.
Okay. So they pull up. What are you saying? What are you talking about?
I mean, they're pulling up. They're pulling up. They have been, and I can see that, I'm not in all types of spaces,
Yeah.
but in the spaces that I've been in, because I don't, I don't be in them spaces, where it's a lot of silly crap going on. I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
But in the spaces that I've seen, that I've taken a look at, I've seen women change how they talk compared to where they were 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
It's much more. I've seen women ask the question like, "Well, what do y'all need us to do?" I've seen questions like that. That's very different from years in the past. In years in the past, years past, it was more, man, I ain't got to do that. What I got to do that for? I ain't got to do that. Now it's, well, that does make some sense. What can I do?
Well,
If
I
if
think.
I wanted to be with a man like that, like what can I do? Like you're seeing a different. Now I've seen women on different in different spaces. Might get somebody's like, yo, check this video out, and then you look at the comment section and you'll see certain females that you see in other places that's more serious, and you see them have a different interaction with those men.
Yeah.
They'll interact completely different with those men than
Yeah,
they
kind of like
interact with the
when
much
chicks
more
pull up over
serious,
here, like yeah, the
right?
bullshit, yeah, the bullshit don't
With
pop
the
off
much
over
more
here.
serious
Yeah,
men, they are they coming off completely, different. Now I'm not saying that, because I'm not one of these people that's saying like, hey, that's who you need to roll with. I'm just saying that
it's kind of
clearly,
what it is. Real recognize real.
yeah,
Well, you
you're gonna,
recognize where you at, where you at.
right. And so, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, intelligence is what it is. And only a dummy argues against intelligence. So if a woman argues against a man with intelligence, then she's showing that she's a dummy. I don't care how good she looks.
I mean,
So
yeah, that's. I mean, well, dude, like you gotta understand, bro. Like, isn't that like the worst shit test, right? Where it's just like, damn, all that kind of symmetrical beauty to all that just to be dumb as a box of rocks. Oh,
but the funny
sucks to
thing
be
about
you.
it is that, you know, even with that being said, if a woman is let's say she's very attractive and she comes into space and that man got his head in a book and she walks by him 5, 6, 7 times trying to get his attention and he don't show her no attention, a lot of times that will compel that woman to be like, hey, what are you reading? Because she just cannot fathom, like, why this guy not paying attention to me?
That's that's
Men have gotten beautiful wives off of just not even paying them any attention. Like they were so focused on, like, how does he not like me? Look at me, I look good, and I'm over here focused. I don't got time for that. And
dude.
she like, what? Like,
Uh,
huh?
you you know what? And dude, here's the thing, right? All right, look, we need to figure out a live stream on that dynamic because that's kind of because that's a trope. It's kind of a trope, right? But there's
Yes.
truth to it too, right? But what I want to do is actually pick apart the nuance in it because that's where the nugget is, right? Because you always hear dudes like ignore a chick, just ignore them, ignore them, ignore them, ignore them, right? But think about that for a second, and I'm gonna have to literally cut this short because it's 11:20 and my shorty needs to go to bed. Um, but think about this for a second, right? Like how do you actually go about forming a relationship by ignoring somebody, right? Not the best not exactly the best advice in my book. Not in my view, not exactly
From
the best advice.
from a woman's perspective, I would say no. From a man's perspective, it can be very strategic.
Well, this is
Very.
what I mean. Like,
It can be
but
very
that is,
strategic.
but see, this is what. Okay, see, when you say strategic, what does that imply? Nuance,
Right.
and that's what I'm talking about. I think that has to be talked about because what you'll just hear is you'll just hear this: ignore them, ignore them, ignore them, ignore them. It's like, dude, listen, relationships are a two-way street. They're reciprocal. If you are ignoring a person, that means now it's one way, and relationships don't work like that.
Now let me tell you something, man. Men, the real game for a lot of men who don't really understand is that you make her come to you. That's the real game.
Yeah.
You're the sun. She's supposed to rotate around you. You don't rotate around her. You're the center of the universe. You are. That's what you are as a man. You're the center of the universe.
Well, they're looking at you to provide, right?
Like, look at Earth. Like, for a lot of time, many people thought that the Earth was the center of the universe. And Earth is synonymous with what? Woman.
Woman,
Sun has been
Earth,
historically synonymous with who? Man.
my old Earth. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
the sun doesn't rotate around Earth. Earth rotates around the sun. So again, even when you read body language literature, it talks about how many people think that men make the first move. They don't. Women make the first move, but men tend to approach first. Women give cues to show men that they're interested. They make the first, they'll pull out their mirror, start fixing their makeup and their hair. If a certain man comes around that they're physically attracted to.
Yeah, they call it
So,
primping, right? Primping.
right. But here's the issue. That's just on a physical primal level. When it comes to marriage, and this is where men's power truly is. When it comes to marriage, our requirements for a wife is not just based on the physical.
It should
And that
never be because if
and
it
it will
is, you're
it
screwed.
right. And so again, that's where they lose the battle because they're so many of them are so short-sighted. They think like if I put it on this dude, he gonna want to be with me. Well, let's visit that. Well, if that's the case, why isn't the marriage rate in Black America higher than what it is? Because men are telling women that you need to bring something more to the table than a wet ass. You have to bring something more. And that's where they're losing the battle because they're thinking just from a physical level. And marriage for men, I keep telling people this. Marriage for men is our spiritual version of our virginity. It's something that we are just not
It
going to give away.
that was heavy, bro. God damn.
We're
Because
not just going to
that's
give
why
that
it
away.
devastates dudes so much, dude. When when they commit to it, and then a chick is just like next,
Right.
and a dude
Just
is
like when a
like
woman gives her
fucking
body away thinking that
devastated.
just like when
Yeah,
she gives her body away and thinking that he's this man for
and it's
me
the
and he's not.
wrong dude. Dude,
Right.
she's scarred for life.
She's scarred for life.
Damn near, right? That then that set them doesn't that set them off on a path. And
It
you
only
know,
takes one. It only takes one man to ruin a woman for life. Just one.
yeah,
That's it.
well,
That's
yeah.
it.
Well, okay. So this is where I'm just saying, dude. As people, I think if we're more in touch with our humanity, then we understand that you know, um, if someone were to do something to us, we understand how it would affect us. So if we were to do it to somebody else, we should kind of understand how that may potentially affect them. And because we have an idea of how it may affect us, maybe we don't want to do it to other people. And because of this, maybe we can forge better relationships, right? It's a whole sort of respect, reciprocity, kind of common decency, golden rule type of thing.
Right.
Once again, dude, like what we're trying to do is like go psychological with it, get down to the core. And when we get down to the core, we're going to find is these are very, very simple truths
Hmm.
that can solve a lot of problems and can go a long way. Like the golden rule, do unto others as you would like those do unto you. That's essentially what it is. So no matter how you go out here engaging people, like unless you like getting fucked over, you're probably not going to do that,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
That because if you don't like having that happen to you, chances are you're not going to get out there and do it, right? And
Right.
if everybody had that mindset, I think we'd far more better off, dude. But like literally, the conversations literally have to be had like this, because until they're had like this, they're going to be had the way that they've been being had, and it's all literally a bunch of third dimensional prima facie shit that's not addressing the psychological issues that precede what we're seeing happening in our third dimensional space.
Yep. Yep. There you have it. That's
Let
it.
me do this. Let me check the comments real quick, man. I'm gonna shut it down. It's about 11:30. Like I said, my little one's looking at me like, "Daddy, let's go to bed." Dude, she's a night owl, dude. She is like she don't go to bed till I go to bed, man. It's crazy. Dude, it's just kind of been how it's been, dude. Since she was little. Okay, Bowerborn, you said, but is the juice worth the squeeze? When you're really ready, you'll realize she ain't wife material.
Well, let me say something to
Um,
that. Let me say
yeah, yeah. I
something
was
to
gonna say you got, yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead,
that.
dude. Go ahead, take it, take it.
The reason why I said I'm not saying men should take it because um, this is one of the best ways that you can see if a woman is actually serious about you. If she's prepared to leave the women in her family behind. That's one of the easiest ways you can tell if a woman is actually serious about you
Mm-hmm.
because
Right.
she don't
What
have
I tell you
anybody she can
about?
stand.
What I tell you
Come on,
about what
man.
my wifey did?
Bruh,
She bounced, came out to
bounced.
Cali, bro.
Because that's, you know, for a lot of men, I'm gonna tell y'all something. A lot of y'all think that you've been hurt, and you have been. I'm not saying you have because this is not the victim Olympics, but you have no idea the level of hurt many of these women have suffered at the hands of their own moms.
Oh
It's
shit.
it's it's different because we have the ability to connect with other men in other spaces to get what we need if we haven't had that, masculine force around us. We got military, we got sports teams, we got business. Hell, niggas can join a gang and get up under a
The
dude that got some
rec
sense.
league, bro. The rec
Red
league.
League,
I
you know what I'm
mean,
saying?
just
We got
whatever.
all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? There is not any place for these women to go when they have lacked that proper femininity training. So, and many of them really do feel um, incomplete based on that. So, but what you don't understand is that they have been suffering for love. It's just that there's some times where she has to make a complete break against that world because that world is not allowing her to fully develop into the woman she's supposed to be. Now, if she's prepared to make that move, then that can give you a kind of inclination like, okay, well, she willing to lead these folks behind. Okay, that means she with me, but that means it's on you now. It's
Though I
on
was
you to
gonna
carry.
say, right,
It's on you to
right.
carry. You know what I'm saying? It's
Okay.
on you.
Like you asked for that. That's why the homeboy is like, what did it say? Brothers not being ready. It's like, listen, you okay? You talk that talk. So if she's literally just ready to drop it all and come be with you, can you hold it down?
I was in a relationship with a chick. I never forget this. We were sitting talking. We had our own place. And she said to me, and her mom lived way across another town somewhere, like she wasn't close to us. And she said, I just feel like, man, maybe we're gonna have to move to another state, and I to get away from my mom. And I was like, what are you
God.
talking about? I didn't understand what she was really saying.
Oh
She
my God.
she was saying like her mom had such a stranglehold of her life because her mom was always calling her, blowing her up, and the reason why was because she knew that she knew she felt a certain way about me than other guys. So she knew like I was a threat to her mom because obviously if I'm in her life and I see her mom using her for money, I ain't gonna go for that. I'll be like, man, hell no, no, no,
Your
no,
mom
that's not going.
tripping.
That's not gonna happen under my watch. And so she was constantly in her ear trying to undermine me, and she had her still like the little girl because that's like when we would get into it, like she would react like a little girl. But that was because her mom had was in her ear like a puppeteer, like she was the puppeteer, and she was the puppet, and she was pulling on her emotional strings. And so she saw me as the threat, like, okay, this is the kind of man that can take her away from me. And so in her
Bro.
mind, she felt like she
Yeah.
had to get away to a whole nother state. But really what she was really saying was, this woman has such an emotional stranglehold over me. I don't know what to do besides just go somewhere else where she can't get to me.
Dude.
And so that, I
Yeah.
mean, that wasn't going to happen at that particular time, but I didn't understand what she was really saying. That's really what she was really saying. It was just like she just didn't know what to do when she really could have just cut her mom off, but she wasn't really ready to
It's
make that
not, dude.
kind of
It's,
move like that.
bro. Look, that's that's another live stream, bro. Because
Yeah.
yeah, it's another live stream, dude. Because that was literally firsthand. I had front row seat with my wife, dude. Like, like it was legit. Like it was awesome. Like her away from, I took her away from her daughter,
You took the
right?
princess from the castle who was trapped
Yeah,
in the
dude. And
tower
I'm gonna tell you something, bro. Like
by the
I
evil
had all
mother.
kind
Yep.
of shit talked about me, and like, see, today it's different, right? Because it's like, dude, I raised my wife's mother's granddaughter,
Mm,
so it's only me that she deals with, right? And when we speak of her daughter, it's kind of in memory.
mm,
And now she looks at my daughter, which is her granddaughter, and she's a spitting image of her daughter. So now the relationship between her and I has changed,
mm,
right? And it's really just been something um to kind of just observe, dude, over the years, because it's been 7 years since Rosie passed, and
rest in peace to her.
yeah, um, and it was just kind of how like literally, dude, like how I come downstairs, dude, like I can hear her mom like just speaking all kind of dirt on me and shit, saying all
Mm.
kind of shit, dude. Just don't know me, dude. Her daughter's like literally sitting over here dealing with cancer and shit, just like pissed off, like why is she saying this type of shit about you? She don't even know you like that, and everything she's saying is completely not true. And I'm just like, you know what, you know, and I had I had the inclination back then. It's just one of those things where it's like, look, I took you away from her, right? Like I literally just I took you.
Yep. I mean, that the chick I was just telling you about, she even said it. She said it out her own mouth, so she knew what it was. She said she was like many women. She was talking about her mom. She like many women out here are operating off of borrowed bitterness. And then she was like at the end of the day, she just mad and jealous because she ain't got no man.
Now,
So she knew what it was, but when it was time to break free, she just reverted to that little girl.
yeah,
She
and I was gonna
reverted to the
say, and
little
that
girl. That's
dude,
what it was.
I'm telling you, bro. I saw that shit, dude. Like, dude, we have to come up with a topic, like a title, and like maybe some passages or some subject matter on that, right? Because,
Hmm.
dude, I saw that shit up close and personal, dude, with my wife and her mother, dude. Like,
It's hard not to see it in
I
black and
snatched her from her mom, dude,
right.
and she resented that shit.
Look, it's hard not to see that or experience that based on all of feminaziism that has been imposed on women, which is really moms trying to turn their daughters into masculine energy women for their own purposes. It's for their benefit. It's not for the daughter's benefit.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna
for
say
their
they don't
own
benefit from
benefit.
that at all. That's why they rebel against it.
Right. But they have to recognize that's what it is. And it's hard for a daughter who a lot of times these mothers view their daughters as not, they don't view their daughters as their own individual person. They view their daughters as an extension of them.
Well, I was
So
gonna
they're
say,
supposed to
isn't
be
that
there, do their bidding for them. So when a daughter is looking at her mom as the image of what she's supposed to be, she doesn't know any better. So she's thinking like, well, this is what mom say do. She ain't gonna do nothing to hurt me on purpose. So I'm gonna just flow with what she roll with, and everything that she could be following from her mom could be completely wrong. But that's not how she's thinking. She's thinking that her mom loves me, but she doesn't realize that in order for you to feel that your mother is loving you, which is not love, it's based on a condition of you doing something. That's not love from your mom because your mom shouldn't love you conditionally. Your mom should love you
right?
unconditionally.
Like whether you decide to stay with her and do whatever, or if you find somebody and you're happy and that you want to go off and have a family and do that whole thing, either way, your mother should be happy for you.
Of course, exactly. She should be happy for you,
Yeah,
definitely. And
yeah.
a lot of times those mothers will wrap up their criticism of the men in ways to make you question, to make the daughter question her choice and her mate selection, which is the irony is that many women's relationship picker is broken based on their relationship to their broken mother. So if they're choosing men who are quote unquote bad for them, it's based on the relationship with the
They
kind of
It's a
mother they have.
pattern. It's a
It's a pattern.
it's a learned behavior, dude. Like this shit is just not arbitrary, dude. Like it literally just doesn't kind of like randomly just kind of happen to like a selected winner, right? Like
Right.
you got to pick this shit up from somewhere.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you got it has to be picked up from somewhere, and I think we need to deep dive into that because, like I said, man, I had a front row seat. I had a front row seat to that, right?
Yep.
Especially like during like literally like the most crucial time of my wife's life, and just to kind of watch the dynamic happen
It's basically
is amazing, dude.
like if you see like it's like if you have an image of a castle in the queen in the castle, there's no king. So basically, it's incomplete. It's an incomplete setting because we normally associate a castle with a king. So you have no king there. So there no masculinity there from the male perspective. You have a masculine energy woman in the queen, and she has her daughter trapped in the tower. Well, the tower is basically the broken consciousness of the mother, the queen, and so she's trying to prevent her from fully blossoming into what she's supposed to be. Because if the prince comes and rescues her, then guess what? The mother is going to be that the queen is going to be that trapped daughter in that castle because she's going to be stuck in that old consciousness where the daughter is going to be introduced to
That's
the
it.
new
She's gonna have a
consciousness.
whole different new experience, dude.
Thank you. Totally different experience because unlike her mother chose power, but she chose love instead.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's sort of like, okay, hey, dude, you know what? We got to end it here, but
Yeah, we can
let
go
me
on
tell you
forever.
something. Let me tell you something, dude. Let's we got to pick it up on this one. I don't know what do we
We'll
what is
build on it.
what's yeah, what's the topic name, dude? Cuz what do you call that? What's like the what do we call that?
We'll build on it, man. Because yeah, it really does need to be
Yeah, that's a
hashed
deep
out.
one. That's why I'm like, oh shit, wait, we scratching on something, bro. 'Cause like I said, there's a lot. I'm not gonna, look. I love my mother-in-law, dude. That's my daughter's grandmother. You know what I'm saying? We all went through a lot together, right? With just with
Wifey.
our baby, with our child being born, her granddaughter, her first and only granddaughter being born, and then losing her only child. Right, that's my mother-in-law's only child
Hmm.
that she lost. Right,
Right.
and and my daughter's the only grandchild that she has. Right. See, so a lot has changed in our relationship since that time. So, but there's a lot, dude. There's so much that I saw up front. That's why I'm just like, bro, we gotta talk about this shit. Let's game plan it, dude. Let's format it so we can leave the names of the innocent out,
Yeah.
so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. I know, bro.
Yeah. So you already know. We'll figure out how to hit this topic, man. Hey, and let's get some closing words, bro.
Hey, man, great show, man. Thanks for having me up. I love the
Man,
Black
come on,
Business
dude. I
Trust,
already
man.
told you. I already told people, man. We're co-hosts. You're not my co-host. We co-host this.
Yeah, man. You know,
Yeah, that's how we
we,
doing it, man.
we all about, positive self development for men
Yeah,
that come around here. We're about building, and you know, no matter what deficits, man, we grew up with, we're not approaching this world like we're deficient. We're approaching this world like we have everything that we need to be successful because we do.
that's what's up, man.
That's it.
All right, Brody. I'm gonna get up with you tomorrow, man. Let's game plan on another one, man. Because I'm gonna make sure this one stays fresh on the brain. Because we got to touch on that one, man.
Okay, no doubt.
All right. Um. All right, y'all. This was an addendum. We wanted to kind of really kind of wrap this one up, kind of full circle it on the emotional intelligence piece. There's so many more aspects to speak on from a psychological standpoint that oftentimes, man, it's just literally conversations that springboard into other topics, right? Um, so we already got a few on the table. One of them is fresh on the brain right now, and I think that's the one we're gonna roll with. So I'm gonna get it with my bro tomorrow midday, and we'll game plan on a live stream maybe for Friday evening. In the meantime, I'm gonna try to squeeze in the daytime live streams are a bit hard. That's why the Sapio stuff happens at night because that's typically when you guys want to hear this stuff. No one wants to hear tech talks at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, right? So those got to get scheduled in during daytime hours when I got the block of time to do it. I know we're gonna Saturday we got a live stream we're gonna be doing on the Brain Trust Black Tech Talk. Sunday we'll be on Dr. Dunbar, big discussions. We'll be on Dr. Dunbar's channel, so we're gonna be doing like basically just like an interview, Brain Trust, Dr. Dunbar. That'll be on Sunday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like I said, we'll put it together. We'll get it done. We just be busy and shit, and sometimes it's just stuff gets hectic, and we be having to push stuff back or reschedule or something. But nevertheless, we stay game planning on these topics because we think they're important. They really do kind of touch on the pulse of what's going on in the greater social media conversation. I just think that what we're trying to do here is just go above the isms, right? All the isms. You go above the isms and you get to psychology. You get to psychology, and that's where we find that we can flip the mirror and we could take one scenario and flip it both ways, right? And it applies. So we're gonna keep that pushing. We're gonna keep pushing that. With that being said, we're coming up on the 3 hour mark. I was literally just trying to stretch it out for algorithm reasons. Hit the like button, share it with any people that you think are into the sapiosexual thing. That's how we roll over here, right? Yeah, hit the like button, share it, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.